Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Downtime in the Hangar where we talk about all things GBO2. So, today I'm joined by Gaming Emblem
Hey,
and Gustav the 13th.
Yep,
So guys, how was your past week? How's things going? Or I guess it's been 2 weeks now.
indeed it has been.
yeah, things on mine have going well enough. I know everything in Washington is kind of on like extra double lockdown with a lot of stuff for Corona and whatnot going on. So a lot of places I know like Amazon is shutting down, and two of the guys here work for Amazon, so they've been doing a lot of work from home and stuff like that. So we've had them at the house all the time, but it's interesting. Um, Not everything's locked down, but a lot of businesses and stuff like that are definitely starting to show concern because of what's been going on.
Yeah, I've been hearing that from people I know that work at like Google or Dell and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's been the same here. Uber even sent out some stuff about it right now. People who are actually infected are getting like paid time and all that, which is surprising that they'd even bother. But I think a lot of people are being pushed into acting whether they want to or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
The interesting thing now is that this is like both a really profitable time for me to be out there and also like high risk in terms of infection because our county actually has an infectee.
Ooh, that's not good to
So
hear.
they're trying to retrace where he's been since he actually got diagnosed, and several like Michigan State University has been shut down, and a couple other schools too.
Yeah, it's been
So we'll see how that turns out.
getting crazy. I know Kentucky we've got last time I looked we were up to like 8, I think. Lucky for me, I kind of live in the middle of nowhere, so that's
Yeah, it definitely helps.
one of those benefits. But if I'm expecting that's going to be first case incoming anytime now, kind of deal.
Hmm.
Just because like where they've already found cases, that's where people travel a lot to anyway, and then
Yeah,
come back. That's actually where I
the
go
bigger
my
the
diabetic
bigger
stuff.
thing for us locally is like our county actually has the Detroit airport or the terminal there too.
But
So we have a lot of people like doing through traffic and shit.
what what games have you guys been up to? GBO2 stuff.
GBO2
Battle up here.
and switched over to Kingdom Hearts 3. We finished off Yakuza 0 since
Yeah,
the last podcast.
there you go.
Probably gonna go on to Kiwami eventually, but I wanted to have something else as a spacer. We've been meaning to do Kingdom Hearts for a bit.
But yeah, I've I mean, like so far nothing too crazy happened around here. But game wise, I've been doing well, GBO2 of course, Wolson. That was pretty fun. It like I didn't really stream too much of it. There was like one day, and just because it was so annoying to get to play and actually get it to work,
Is the
that
beta period for it like over or something?
yeah, like it's full release now. I believe is what
Hmm.
it is now. Is what it's considered. But it was a buggy mess. So right before I started playing, they put in a patch, and
Hmm.
then it was fine to play. So I had a good experience. But for the most part, it was a bad experience for everybody, from what I heard. And then I get in there, I'm like, well, this wasn't that bad, but they also just put in a huge patch, so fair enough. They fixed most of their big problems, their game breaking problems. The thing
That's
is,
good.
though, I can't connect to more than 2 people. And if the two
Hmm.
people are like in 3 different locations, then have fun, someone's gonna lag and not be able to play.
Hmm.
So that's the
Is
big
it like
problem.
peer to peer or whatever?
Well, they what I think it is they have your computer calculate everything that calculates and communicates with the server that's calculating stuff to send it back to somebody else's computer to calculate your stuff.
Oof.
Because I'm having to like when they have their effects going on, that's not altering the enemies. Typically in ARPGs like that, anything that does alter the enemies, like their stats or give them a lot of dots, yeah, that will cause lag. But
Mhm.
the thing is, it's like it's almost doing 3 times the work is what it feels like.
Yeah, like it's putting too
So
much load on your computer,
yeah, and
and
you're
then
having
you're
to
gonna transmit all
communicate
that load.
literally everything back and forth. And the reason why I think that is because if you have like 80 latency, it's unplayable between multiple people. Like that's one of the big problems too, is if you have any kind of latency at all to what you're connecting to, and you
Mhm.
try to do multiple people, game over. Like, I've been able to play some ARPGs with like 120. So they definitely need to optimize that. I mean, it's obvious they just weren't prepared for that. That's pretty much the big deal there. Like, they don't know how they're to set up servers and stuff. So hopefully, I mean, they already did a really good set of patches. So as long as they do it again here in a few months, then I'll definitely go back to it and hopefully get to play with a group. But
Sitting out for now. Like, did you go through like the bulk of the content for it
oh
already?
yeah, well the story and stuff was awesome, and then there's a bunch of in-game, and it's kind of like riffs from Diablo.
Mhm.
You just keep building up the higher number and higher number kind of thing. So that's kind of the replay, the repetitive part. And I just threw up a video of something that I found, which is the most broken thing I've been using to build because my build's been, I call it the Dom Barrage build. So I have the little magic yellow lasers kind of coming out of my character. For the laser part, I throw down 2 Gatling turrets that are the Gatling gun. You can actually hold it like a Gatling gun, but then you're stationary and it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
rough.
I shoot a lot of missiles. So yeah, the missile thing's pretty cool. And that's what's carrying the build right now. Is like you can shotgun. In a lot of games you can't, but in this one you can. So I don't know if they're gonna change that or whatever. But you just get right up to them with the 4 missiles that come out of your bazooka, and then you just like fire all 4 kind of thing. So, and that's
What kind of
what's
setting
killing
does
stuff.
Wilson have then?
It's kind of like uh, Warhammer kind of thing.
'Cause
Like,
I'm assuming this is just like terminology, and you're not actually like busting out bazookas and all this other shit.
well,
If it's
no,
actually
it's an
supposed to be
actual
fantasy.
cannon. It's an actual cannon that it's on your arm, so it's pretty much like a
Mm.
bazooka. Like, but they have some technology. You have guns, so there's guns in the game. Like, there's a lot of enemies that'll use rail guns. So it's kind of weird magic technology that doesn't make any sense why they would have some of it. So it's one of those. They have
Do it
some
for the gameplay.
really cool story boss fights though. The story was actually pretty good. I really like the story and the boss fights at each act. So I'm looking forward to their 4th act. They're going to be adding that sometime. So yeah, overall pretty good. Got my build going, but the thing is, what's carrying my build, because it's probably not the most optimal, is there's a thing you can transform into, like a super mode. The gimmick behind it is you're invincible, but they typically don't do much damage. Well, I found if you smack the ground 5 times with one, after you smack the ground 5 times, you can do a pillar of fire, and it one-shots anything in the game.
Seems good.
So it's the most broken thing ever. I just decided to throw up a video just because it's like, yeah, that'll take like 10 minutes to make real quick. Let's do that today. So I did that real quick before I got on. And then I was just like, upload. Okay, cool. Now let's start doing the Photoshop. But like, yeah, I'm just trying to get whatever I can out before Path of Exile tomorrow because all nighter, yeah, Emblem,
Oh boy.
all nighter.
We'll see.
You
We'll
joining me
see. I
on
don't know.
that?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to hang for an all nighter,
I'll have
but
my
we'll find
pack of
out.
tacos. I have my energy drinks. Be good, man.
You know it's serious when the tacos get busted out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who needs alcohol when you got tacos?
But well, tacos and energy drinks. But yeah,
Tacos and booze.
I'll see how far I can make it. Who knows? We might break out the booze like at noon the next day. And then I'll call it at like 1, go sleep and then wake up and then do it again. And then get a proper night's sleep Saturday night and then wake up Sunday morning and then start then. That's how it's going to go. Probably not, but that's my plan.
To be
Can
determined.
only hope.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just happy there's so many games right now that I want to play, and kind of sad
Too many games.
because there's
Yeah,
like
we're
Final
coming
Fantasy
up on a
7.
big month.
I'm getting that. Like I don't care what I have to do. I'm I'm like selling something and I'm buying that game. Like, so yeah, that I will have Final Fantasy VII now. Like, I wasn't really that hyped for it. I think we talked about it last week, but
Yeah,
like it was just
it
one of
looks pretty
those.
awesome.
I was like, cool. Of course, the graphics are good, but yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think that's about it. Any other random stuff we want to talk about before we actually get into stuff from last week?
Mm,
I think I'm good.
yeah, that's about it.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
sure more will come up later.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but yeah, there's just another game I want to play, Division 2. Just saying, I kind of want to get into that. And I finally started doing my Tarkov playing of, because where they wipe everything. So I'm back on that. I'm trying to get enough gear and get good enough to play with Aoshi, but pretty potato. I'm really potato right now. But
Is that actually the gold standard?
I guess. I mean, he's definitely better than I am right now. So I gotta find some bar to climb to. So right now there's that mountain. But I don't think I'm gonna get very far right now because Path of Exile. So, but he's linked me a ton of videos and stuff, so it's been a ton of help. I've been like, oh yes, thank you.
Oh,
But
she carry go.
oh yeah, man, he's carrying hard. But yeah, so the first thing from last week, do we want to just talk about the Desert GM or Desert Goog?
Desert Gelgoog.
Seems go good.
I have to say, it seems pretty balanced. I mean, other than the stealth part of it, that's what kind
Yeah,
of
which is
But overall, as far as how it fights and stuff, it feels pretty solid.
yeah, like I'd take that over jamming, to be honest. Like I'm surprised that it even has it. It feels like a nice bonus because it still runs really aggressively. A lot of the stuff does take a little bit to ready up, but they're pretty quick fire. And the fact that the arm cannon can be shot on the move and makes people take a knee is very nice.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool especially for a raid. The range is only 100, but it's really nice.
You do have to be a little wary about how close you are because you can get hit by that stagger. Even though it doesn't feel like it has ample like splash damage, there's still just enough if you get too aggro.
Yeah, you don't have to tag them directly, which is nice. And I mean, honestly, too, if you're so inclined, you can run the MMP80 on that thing, and it has the underrail grenade launcher. So you have two pretty quick stagger setups with the underrail grenade and the armed buster as well, and then a Sturmfaust. And at that point, the only thing that really takes a while to set up is a Sturmfaust. Everything else is ready to go pretty quickly.
Yeah, the other thing nice about running the MMP is that at its cost range, you're probably going to be running into some sort of flight type as well,
Yeah, that's
especially
true.
for 450. So you have a little bit more consecutive stun stuff to mess with. I like the rifle. It has a little less output than the standard, which is a little rough. Still has a charge shot on it at least. For me, it's the long game of just like fucking up their legs over time. Especially when you have like the Sturmfaust to help supplement that as well.
Mm.
Yeah, as far as what I've played against it, again, it's been really solid. And like, I don't know, I'll do some outplays and win. I mean, that's kind of compared to the Striker Custom, like this thing is pretty well balanced. I like it. I get outplayed, fair enough. Then I get some outplays, and it's like, yeah, feels good.
I still kind of wanted to have, I was talking about this earlier, but force injection on it, just so I can have a little bit more reaction in close quarters. But it's fast. It's got some good speed on it.
It does have a new skill though. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it has this ability that has it use 10% less thrust when it initiates a boost, which is really
I
nice.
can go
You
look
definitely
up the
notice.
name real quick.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah, it's
pretty
got
cool.
good range because of that. And it's something that we don't talk about a lot, but like that initial thruster loss. Especially if you've ever seen when you're in space, They use the in-engine thrust for that intro boost when everyone moves in, and it actually does affect your fuel.
Does it have force injector?
No, it does not. That's why I was saying that I wanted it on there.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you were saying. But
It makes me sad.
I was like, that would be gross on that thing though. With that initial
That'd
boost
be-
thing, you just be
But
like,
yeah,
I don't care.
optimized cooling efficiency. And it, of course, has flight control program as well, so it can do some extra jumps in the air. Quick boost, which on this I've actually noticed the quick boost because it's level 3. Like it takes a lot less time to get that max boost out there, which is pretty nice. Especially if you're on Arctic, you can get up on those higher rafters, nail somebody, and then just like descend on them like fucking Batman, just smack them upside the head.
That is a good point about Arctic too. Like I've actually been happy to have quick boost on a suit just because of that.
It's weird that this has stealth on it, just because it's such a big suit. It's something that you still run like a standard raid. I can't really see a lot of people sneaking around with it. But if you're more inclined to do ranged, since it does lean pretty heavily towards that anyway, and it has a lot of good slottage for it, you can hit people, especially if you're rocking that rifle. So it gives you some more breathing space for that, I'd figure.
What would be kind of cool with the stealth though? I mean, let's just use Arctic for example. You just go around the circle, right, and kind of sneak around to where the support is, and just peg them with the Sturmfaust because it's so it's got such a large ready up time. Like I normally try to initiate with it if I'm playing any kind of close range suit that has it. I'll try to use
Yeah.
that first. So like you're like I'm over here, but you can't see me. Woof, and then yeet the Sturmfaust at them, and then hit them with the beam and everything else. Follow up with that or grenade or whatever you decide to use.
It'd be good for some tunnel fuckery as well. You
Yeah.
know, people like to hang out at the base and stuff,
Well, yeah,
depending on which one you're at.
most of the time there's at least one support like I'm kind of glad it went to 5v5 just because that whole sniper support thing. I'm glad there's a place for sniper supports right now though. Like that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Like there's a lot of outer perches that you can go to if you're not confident going towards the shuttle.
But
Yeah, but the bridge is its own, like that high bridge on the other side is like its own set piece.
yeah. But it's like the what is it? The Zoc. I've seen some crazy weird games where it's like everybody's just sitting on that perch and it's just like guys, we don't need to like I'm like hitting tight defenses and fall back every 5 seconds because like they're just sitting over there and the enemy team's running at us. So it's like 3 kills, they're down a guy. There's a shuttle in front of them. They can't hit us. That kind of deal, right? So it's like and then because then normally we have a sniper. So then it's who makes the mistake of pushing past first, and that's kind of the I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the map
That's
would be
the one
interesting on
dynamic,
team play.
yeah. That's the one dynamic about that map that I don't like. It really does punish people who just want to push and initiate. Especially when you do have far back supports. So it puts more pressure on them to perform, but it also puts more pressure on the enemy team to or the rest of their team to just hang back when normally that probably wouldn't be their style. So it conflicts a lot with what people want to do, especially if you're having someone who's a really good raid who's constantly going out there only to just have nobody back them.
I'd really like to see what a competitive game looks like on that. And I don't know, was it last week that they turned it to a 5v5 instead of a 6v6? Like it can only be 5v5 now?
For Arctic?
Yeah. Was that last week?
I don't know.
I think it was. Either way though, but now it's
Yeah,
just,
I
now it's
remember
5v5.
seeing that clip about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the interesting thing there is like I said, I want to see like some team like actual teams playing because like what you have is you have team A spawning in, then this team B spawning in, and they just go right around. Like might have the two supports just hang back, and then the other four kind of like spread out and go around the shuttle, and then you'll either have like this weird sandwich thing of both teams being on the opposite side then because each team just rushes past their side of the shuttle, and then you have like maybe two guys that decided to cap. So they're gonna die by the other enemy team because he decided to cap. So there's like 4 people on him now, and or it's 3 people on him or whatever. So he's dead, and then your teammate that decided to cap, he's dead. Like just the way that initial part of the game plays out, I think is just hilarious.
Yeah, everyone runs around the shuttle. The supports just clench their buttholes and like, please, please just initiate with each other and don't notice me.
Yeah. So it's a little awkward, actually. I mean, it's such a small map anyway. So the brawling
Yeah.
thing after that, what
I think
ensues
that's
after that is
I
just
think that's
chaos.
by design because it's they just want it to be more chaotic.
But I mean, I knew it was going to be this too. You see it every rotation pretty much. So I wonder how much complaining there is about that, just because they did put it to a 5v5.
Play it until you hate it.
Pretty much. But anyway, as far as the Desert Goog, yeah, I'm a fan.
Yep, I like it. I hope that we
It's
see it a little bit more going forward.
Which I'm curious to see what you guys think of the Easy 8. We want to talk about that next, but before that, the Marasai, there we go. Comparing this to like the Marasai release, also pretty balanced suit. Like, I don't know. I think they're really on top of it right now with coming out with pretty solid suits. The Striker custom though, I'm still a little salty. Fair enough. I'll accept that. But yeah, I hate running into one of those.
That's definitely the feeling you're supposed to have.
Perfectly balanced.
I don't know about all that.
Says the raid guy.
Perfectly balanced.
No big deal. But so the Easy 8 though, do we want to go ahead and talk about that, or do you guys have any other thoughts on the Desert?
Nah, we can move on.
Cool. So I like it. I'm a fan. I want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna since I haven't done my dailies or anything, I'm probably just gonna do that tomorrow when I first get on. Like right before. Oh no. Reset is right at the release. Dang it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was thinking daylight savings, for goodness sake. I was like, oh yeah, 3 o'clock, and then it comes out, and then the patch hits at 4. No, but they're both at 4. Oh, 4. Oh man. Okay. Well, oops. So I have to fit that in somewhere. But I definitely want to roll every spin I get each day. I'm rolling on that thing. I want it. But so guns wise, we have the 180 millimeter. Don't use the rocket launcher. We have the
use
beam
the
saber.
rocket launcher. Don't listen to him.
Don't use the rocket launcher.
Get in there and use it right
that
now.
rocket pack, whatever it's actually called.
I believe in you.
I think it's just missile launcher.
The missile
something.
launcher. Okay, if you want an argument for it, it has the same amount of ammo. It has less damage. It has less range. It's slower. It's not an instant point and click and you've hit the target pretty much. Can somebody tell me a positive?
Fire it on the move at least.
I'm a support player. That stop and shoot doesn't affect us. That is all supports. Can you actually fire that thing on the move though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right. I've seen a lot of people do jump and shoot. With
the
sniper.
Jump and shoot.
I mean, maybe the sniper though.
Not to mention you can move. Like the bigger thing, especially for the Easy 8 this time around, is that it actually does boast a little bit more mobility, just because
that is true.
You can fire all its weapons on the move, and it has that thrust, like the other Easy 8.
That is true. Okay.
So you're going to be doing a lot more advancing initiating with that suit.
You can use it on the sniper
completely
sometimes.
Awful.
Or use it on this new Easy 8 maybe. You've brought me around to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, but on the weapons rack, the normal weapons rack, there's no reason.
You can still kind of do it. It's not a super big deal, especially if you're one of those dudes that really loves to downswing people. I've seen a lot of really aggressive
racks. I mean,
I like to do that shit.
I still like the cannon though better because it's just like you're stunned rather than
and I like the bigger thing for that too is that they still have the flash, so they don't really have to rely on their main weapons to do the stunning for them.
So now we have the beam though, and we have the 100mm machine gun as well on this thing as a sub weapon. And of course it has a shield, and then it has, what am I missing? Vulcans, of course.
Yeah, chest Vulcans. No flash because it's the Easy 8 model.
Yeah, but it's is that it? Is that everything?
Yep, and it's got the thrusting downswing, like we were saying before.
Yeah, and then
I
I know, yeah. Oh, and we tested it. I was swinging
Oh, the
with the
priority,
GBO2
yeah.
flight type.
Did you do it again after that? Like in a more controlled setting?
No, we did not do it in a more controlled setting, but that was a pretty okay test. So we definitely need to try that. I mean, we could try that right now if you want.
You want me to just get in there with the desert, like try to smack you?
Oh wait, no, that's right. None of us have it. Never mind.
Yeah, I was
We-
gonna say.
Like unless you got it just now.
Let me play. I'll roll right
Time to
now.
wail.
But sadly, I already wailed on the sushi yesterday. But
On the sushi.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the okay. So as far as the test, it looks like it does have the melee priority. Now the thing is, I'm really curious as to what that actually if they're gonna change anything with that, because I know
Yeah.
they're really hard on supports when it comes to melee priority being a thing. Like, is there really any support that actually matches general melee priority?
Support? As far as I know, no. At least not yet.
I mean,
Yeah, I can't think of any
there
yet.
was the full armor, but just because for some reason it was getting the Thunderbolts melee priority instead of the.
Didn't they change that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There
Yeah.
was that. And then what else do we got? GBO4 maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know if it can. I don't know if it can
That's
clash
true,
with the general though. Not sure on
I
that
feel
one.
like they should let you though, since they're encouraging you to initiate like that.
Yeah, I feel like that, and also the full custom should both have like general melee priority.
Well, yeah, full custom definitely should.
Yeah,
You have
definitely
like a
those two.
really, because that you even have like stubby reach with that because of the nature of that weapon.
Yeah, but I finally got that suit. I finally
Oh,
got
the
it.
full.
I got the full custom and the full armor type B. Oh yeah, so good. Oh man, feels good
How's
to
your
finally
experience
get.
with the B actually been though?
Oh, I love it. Like raids coming at you, swap to that rocket, just fire right at them. You might get taken to a knee, but they're definitely to a knee. Like they're not. You break their maneuver armor with that guaranteed. So if they're coming right at you. You got that fire at the same time they do. Then you're probably gonna take them to the knee. Sometimes they'll just stagger you at a good distance if they're like doing some kind of bazooka or beam. And then just don't miss.
It's actually good if you do that because if you hit them with the rocket afterwards, then you'll come out first.
Yeah, then you come out first, and you can go ahead and stagger them again. You hit them with the missiles, then shoot them with the beam, get another stagger, then melee them, downswing, and then you laugh and be like, haha, I just bullied the raid. Who's the bully
Fool.
now? And then you run away and cry because you got to do that again. And
Yeah,
the
and
number
the
of
rest of
times
the
I've
team
pulled that
at
off,
that point.
the number of times I've actually pulled that off is not as much. And then at that
Oof.
cost, a lot of them have like dodge rolls and stuff. So then you're like, oh no, I'm sorry, Mr. BD2. Please don't kill me.
Please don't clap. Don't make it clap.
Personal, kid.
But yeah.
Oh, Miyahus brings up something interesting from the Japanese wiki. The Sniper Custom, the Juagu, the Zok, the Gelgu ground type have medium priority according to the Japanese wiki.
The Zoc. Yeah, for real though.
I would say the Zok should
I
anyway, just
know
because
the
it has
Zoc
instant
does.
knockdown.
Just because you're just like, oh, there's a general.
I didn't even think about that. Just
like
smack.
the only thing that can out melee a Zoc is a raid, and it's just gross. Like that is the dumbest thing with the
Getting
Zoc.
clapped. It's so funny.
Like that's
though.
one of the that's the suit I'm missing. So I want a Zoc,
Yeah.
the Dom Barrage, Level
Oh, you
3,
still don't have one?
and the
Easy
2.
8 weapons rack has weak priority.
Oh,
That's what I heard too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
huh.
You might have to run that test again
We might
later.
have to do that again. Yeah. I wonder. I mean, I was gonna say, would somehow the downswing be a little different?
Like it would have the highest priority of its swings.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
But I think didn't you try to down at him? Or did you try to do a
I
neutral?
think I tried to do a neutral.
Oh, that's probably why. Like even if it was like a proper
Yeah.
like
I mean, I didn't do any damage to them though, so that was kind of the weird thing.
do it against a GUF VD. I'm assuming that has like higher priority.
Possibly, but I kind of want to just do it against some generic raid though. We'll try that at some point. I'll probably figure that out. If not, sometime tonight, maybe
You could do
early
like a
next
quick
week.
clip about it too.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be a full video, just like, oh, look at this.
yeah, pretty much. So, but cool. But overall, it's the beam and the 100 millimeter is just amazing that it has that. You can do a combo with the beam. You can then go into the cannon and
Mhm.
downswing. I mean, you got so much you can do with that thing. It's pretty awesome. Not gonna
It's
lie.
interesting because like when I first saw it, I was like, why is this a banner suit? This just seemed really whack. And then once I saw that stuff about the sub weapons, it's like, oh, that makes more sense then.
I honestly was gonna pick that or the Gun Tank 2 is my support guess for this week. And I was just thinking, what do I want to see more? So I went for the Gun Tank 2.
Mm,
That's gonna be next
Gun
week.
tank,
Or that's the next support they come
gun,
out with. I'm calling it.
that'd be amazing. I'm ready for that. Gun Cannon 2, on a side note, has apparently been having some fun on Arctic because it can actually like pierce through the shuttle.
Yeah,
At
that's
least for now.
kind of interesting.
Makes
I hope that they're like, oh well, it's fine on this map. It doesn't need any buffs.
Watch them do that. That'd be so shitty.
I mean, all they do is look at the general win rate of the suit itself for the most part. So
Yeah,
that
well, that's
might be
something else we
exactly
gotta
what
talk
happens.
about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute with the raid talk. There hasn't really been any changes buffs wise. I can double
Yeah, I
check
mean,
right now.
a lot of it's just been additions and the suits themselves. At least the last couple updates.
Yeah, I'm gonna check real quick, see what I can see here. But the big thing that we definitely need to talk about is the
Muse is like
raid
through the
changes.
shuttle, through the base to repairing mobile suits.
Oh my gosh,
From downtown.
I did have
Hilarious.
a awesome through the crack shot on Maniac yesterday.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
he was like hiding on the other side with like 2 health, and I'm just like, was I in the barrage? I think I was in the barrage, just gatling through a crack. He's a raid, so I'm barely doing any damage to him. But I'm just like he's on the the back end of the base. So there's that
Mhm.
little tiny crack between the wing on the Medea, and I was just like
Yeah.
shooting through that little crack. So it was like 100 damage. 100 damage, and his health is just like this, so he's just hiding. He's crouched behind that. If he laid down, I aimed for his foot. So it was just like I finally got him. But I had to put like the entire clip on that.
Ooh, I can dig that you can shoot the Desert Gelgoose cannon in the air. I didn't think they let you do that.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing any actual buff changes or any patch notes like that kind of sense.
Yeah, they didn't release anything at us all either.
So also I guess we can go ahead and talk about what else was released and stuff real quick, and then we can get into the big deal with that. Unless
So
you
I
guys have
think
any other thoughts with Easy 8.
last week the other suits, what was it, the 04 and 05? Or was that
Yeah, for
another one?
secondaries.
Yes.
Yeah, for
Wait,
Well,
no.
I've
secondaries.
been a week.
No,
I've
that
been
was
a week before.
they were put in the ticket shop. The level 2s were put in the ticket shop.
Okay, yeah. That works.
It was GBO days.
Yeah, that's true.
And what got put in the DP store? That was one thing. They didn't actually say what was put in the DP store on the patch notes, but they were actually in there.
I forget because it was more suits that I already had.
I think it was was it the Tropin and the Power GM? Is that one?
I'm not sure. I know I saw that.
I
they
think
had-
so because they had the Rocket 10. They had another level of the Rocket 10 in there.
I know they had one of the level 3, one of the event Zaku's. Maybe an FS or
Oh,
no, the Fritz
that's
is
this
week.
week.
The Fritz
Yeah, that's this week.
yeah,
The Fritz helm.
Fritz helm
Yeah,
is
I
this
couldn't
week.
Level
remember.
3.
That one's not in the patch notes, but it is this week though. But yeah, that one wasn't actually in the patch notes. What they did put in the patch notes for this week though is the White Dingo Sniper 2 and the Gan EOS is now in the DP store. Now that's pretty cool. Those are
Yeah.
two pretty legit top tier suits. I wonder how much they cost though. That's my concern. Because we're getting to the point that every suit and everything that they put in the DP store now is like 100K plus.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, the Fritz helm was like 40,000 something. That wasn't too bad.
But actually, yeah, that's pretty good. But I mean, that's kind of what I expect more than like
Like some of the weapons cost more than that
yeah,
thing
like
did.
I don't know, the cold blades for the knock is like what 120.
Yeah,
I have the level
some
3,
whack
so I'm
shit.
just not buying the level 1. You know, it's just like I don't need that. I've already got the level 3. It just downgrades. So, but I mean, like I could spend all the DP that I've saved up. I got like 600K right now, and I could just spend it in like 10 seconds on like weapon, like 1 or 2 suits. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't wait to see the GBO2 be 400 tickets at this rate.
Oh,
You know, we
God,
were
it's
joking
gonna
about
be.
that, but how much is the Hildoffer right now, though? Like legit.
Hildoffer's like 300 plus.
Yeah, it's already like like we were joking about that because I'm like, well, guys, you know, they're like 275 now, no big deal. You know, we're gonna get to like 400 by then. And I
Just
was kind of
get good and
joking
grind it out.
because they were going like, you know, 270, then you know, three ticket suits later, it was like 275. You know, I was like, okay, well, we're good. We're by by like December we might be hitting 400 tickets, but now it's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna hit 400 tickets in a month and a half. Like it's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
only gonna because we still haven't broken into a new cost range yet.
And that
Even
too.
after all
Gold
this, and
Week.
even after the push for Zeta, we're still at 550.
Yeah, Gold Week. I'm actually kind of agreeing with Emblem now. I have to say Gold Week is gonna be it. Like that's gonna be some Zeta. That's gonna be a big Zeta suit. That's gonna be the first transforming suit. That's my guess.
Get a Ashimar or some bullshit
Yeah,
in
if
there.
not new cost, I could see transformables.
Ashimar or the Gaza.
But
Can you
yeah,
imagine if they
Oxymar,
like triple
probably.
down and went like, nah, new cost 600 bound duck. Just did both.
That'd be crazy, dude. That'd be insane. But yeah, so as far as the rest of the notes here and stuff, from the Easy 8 patch, that's it. They're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, they put in a thing. So the 72-hour lottery, when that popped up,
Mhm.
there was actually a bug that occurred with it. It wasn't a bug that it popped up, but if you just started playing, and you still had your 3-day one, and you've already spent tokens on the first or second one, it would have
Yeah.
reset that so you couldn't do the third one. So they
Oof.
reimbursed people those tokens. So anybody who did spend tokens on that ended up getting tokens back to spend on something else, which is actually kind of really awesome.
Yeah, I
Because
can dig that.
that's really not the biggest inconvenience in my opinion. Just because getting to do that half off spin, in my opinion, is more valuable than just doing the guaranteed, getting a free DS or something.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It is tickets at the very least.
Or yeah, just getting the So like that's a pretty big like generous thing for the new players.
Yeah.
And
It's an extra 10 spin that I would have not had otherwise.
so I mean, for everybody getting it, that yes, but I mean also for the new player though, like if they were literally on their day 2 and if they spent money, they just pretty much got double whatever the money they spent.
Hmm.
So good job helping the really new players out. Again, we need more actual things like the GBO days and stuff like that. But
Or even just like an extension to how long GBO days last each month.
yeah, I agree because we're kind of getting into the like with 300 and some tickets or 100,000 DP, it's a different problem these days because before, DP wasn't that easy to come by, and now they expect everybody to be doing monthly missions, clan missions, and everything else and they're scaling it up based on that. And I think they're doing it on the high end based on the people who've played since the very beginning, who have
Yeah.
probably too much DP to even count.
I guess another thing I'm kind of curious about is like for this free rolls that they're doing, we know that they're doing like the full list, full roster. That's getting really big now.
Yeah,
I'm starting to wonder if they should narrow that down
maybe.
to more like relevant or like viable suits as opposed to just flipping a level 1 GM your way or some crazy shit.
I just need people spending more.
It ain't gonna happen, especially now with these other games coming up.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see what kind of effects they have with
This is gonna be a rough
next
summer
month.
for this game.
I was gonna say next month, next month is a big month. Just kill a lot of other games for their player base. And what's really going to be interesting is to see how companies react to it. But real quick,
Bamco as a whole isn't gonna suffer too much. The
oh yeah,
individual running this is probably gonna be sweating bullets though.
yeah, that's what I'm curious. It's going to be the reaction of the company to what the individual section, department, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I just hope there's not a big negative reaction to it. But and especially where they're having to cancel all their stuff again,
Mhm.
back to everybody canceling everything. Okay, so I'll go ahead and bring up the stuff about the raid things, but real quick though, as far as the Easy 8 though, again, I'm a big fan. I think it's awesome. It has so many extra weapons, and they look like they
Yeah.
do pretty good damage. I was actually taking some pretty good hits against even as the fly type, so pretty
Yeah,
nice.
it's cool that it has a bunch of ways to initiate and the output's actually worth it.
Yeah, I hate when they add sub weapons like, the Zuda F Zaku machine gun, and it
Mhm.
like horribly. I mean, just saying, 80 a shot, dude. Like,
Yeah, at the
what
very
are you
least, make
gonna
it faster or some shit. Like,
against a raid is like 90 a shot. Like, what is that, dude? At 400 and 450 cost?
mhm.
Like, I mean,
And it's
yes,
rough because it's in a position where it's gonna tend to be singled out too, much like a support. Like it has more mobility to escape, but it also doesn't have like raid level stun protection on it, at least as far as I know.
but I mean, I'm really salty when they just have something useless like that. So, I mean, I guess it has the same. Does it have the same stun factor as the normal Zaku machine gun?
Yeah,
Which,
but again, it's the slowest one on the roster in
yeah,
terms of the
pretty
machine
much.
gun.
But then it's like
Like
there's
even some of the upgraded or updated Zaki machine guns, like with the grenade launcher and things like that, I think are a little faster.
yeah, probably I wouldn't doubt it. But like I don't know. My big thing is the damage is useless for the most part, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you got this extra thing that could stun one day, and it's I don't know. I have a big issue with it, and by then you've reloaded. If you have any reload parts on that thing,
Mhm.
you're able to fire everything else. By the time you could have just staggered, and then you've got a heavy stagger instead. So it's
Yeah.
like it's like the worst filler that you could have on a suit. But again, they did just buff the gun, and I think it's pretty OP right now. So
Yeah, the gun's amazing.
can't really
Like bigger
complain.
hitbox on that, and a lot of people who run it are using it almost like a Bluesico, or like a really aggressive White Dingo.
Yeah,
Except
like
they have even more of a grace period to hit people with that axe.
it's an insane suit. So fair enough, but I mean, it's just like the full armor, and even the full armor Type B having those useless
Yeah,
shoulder
it's just
rockets
one
that
of
do
those things that
nothing.
makes you scratch your head, just like why are you here?
Like
Or at least do something about it.
yeah, they need to give it a slight buff. Like, I mean, again, you still have to cycle through everything, right? Like,
Mhm.
especially on something like the Type B, you don't have enough buttons, so you got to really get used to just swapping to extra things and
Yeah,
figuring
like
out
you'd
what your
be really
combos are.
remiss. You'd be more remiss to not cycle through your other weapons before you settle on the MG. The MG is when you're like afraid to hit your teammates because you're murder balling really
Yeah,
hard and you just don't have a good angle. So
pretty
at
much.
least you're contributing something, to the barrage.
You really have to try though to intensify with that gun. I'm sorry.
Really,
It's
at
just
that
that the
point,
damage.
you're just doing it for the flinch,
I
right? To interrupt
guess.
their actions.
Oh man.
Mhm.
But it's like you shoot a support with that thing, you're doing like 60 damage or something. You ever run up
Yeah.
against the GM Cannon 2 with
You
how
gotta
thick
you gotta
that
try
suit
really
is?
hard to stone face when you're just seeing those numbers.
The
You're just
the
like,
G-
this is like a Vulcan. It's a Vulcan, but it's a full on gun on my back.
it is
Why?
worse though than Vulcans really because like a GM Cannon
We
2
have
is just
some
gonna
really
walk
aggressive
up to you.
Vulcans now.
Yeah, really though. Like the the Zuda F pulls out his Zocker machine gun and the GM Cannon 2 is just gonna walk at you like, oh, you're hitting me for 40 a shot. I do
Yeah.
not care.
Like literally my face guns do more than this.
Yeah, like what? I mean, that's my problem. Like, give it a little bit of something. Like, so yeah. I mean, at least I've been using the um, like even the MMP80s and stuff as a secondary weapon. I'll still use
Mhm.
those. Like, they're actually okay.
Yeah,
You
because they
know?
got a higher firing rate too,
Yeah.
and the range that they're at is more active for those kind of suits because you're already closing in at that point,
Yeah.
and you
Exactly.
can kind of play like mid range with it. It's surprising how much you can reach.
I don't know. Those
So,
sub weapons seem fine. I'm gonna go cry and needle missile.
oh god,
Oh,
yeah.
well, yeah. There you go. I mean, I'm right there with you on that one too. There's like there's a certain number of weapons that are just
So
like
the GAN is on the list for that overhaul, by the way,
yes.
and a bunch of people are already screaming, "Do some shit about the shield!
So
Yeah,
the
give it a
best
real
Fix
shit.
it!"
the best the best segue words, best words to
Hmm.
go into the next section. Yeah, I went ahead and brought that up. So the uh, team formation and aircraft adjustment. Actually, I'm gonna check the English side and see if they actually have it on there.
They don't. They
Don't
didn't
yeah,
put it.
I didn't think they would for something like
Which
that.
is really weird. It's really weird because that seems like a big deal, and they're just not putting that on there.
Yeah, so we
Isn't
have to
that
go.
from Kobe?
Hmm?
The raid thing, is that from Kobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because like I felt like the English site never translates Kobe's director letters, so it could just be that.
It's
Yeah,
a strange oversight, but yeah, more than likely, because I don't think they even put it on the Twitter.
interesting. Now that's interesting.
No, not on on the Japanese one. I think they did. I don't think
Oh,
they
okay,
just
okay. I was
didn't
like,
put it
wait,
on the
what?
English one.
Just on the
You got to
website?
remember, we got two now.
Yeah, that's right.
Kobe's just some dude blowing hot air. No one listens to him.
Like the rest of the dev team's like, you're full of shit. We're not doing that.
Oh man.
Like, shut up.
Okay, so pretty much here at the first part, the introduction.
Kobe's starting to try to start
Oh,
a raid revolution over at
well
the
here,
office.
if somebody has it up, go and read that. I'm going to change the actual text on the thing.
I need to go get it
Okay,
because I
here,
gotta
I
put
can
it in
read it real quick.
another window
Oh man,
to actually
I
properly
I just
translate.
put in all caps raid, but you know what? I'm going to just have that hang off out of the topic box.
Raid!
That's
I got it up
appropriate.
already. but pretty much the short of it is just to kind of introduce the content is that at certain cost, it looks like 500, 550, 250, and 200
Mhm.
teams that run a raid have a better chance of losing than teams that don't have a raid.
Yeah.
I believe it at the
And then
500 cost for sure. 500 and 550.
Oh no, Striker Custom Level 2 is a 500.
Well, that's true. But I
I mean,
mean,
honestly,
after its
recent,
initial run though, it gets clapped a lot though,
How
because it has to
recent?
deal with all those Mark
True.
IIs chasing after it.
But well, I mean, how recent is this data though? Like,
That's
you
what
know
I
what
was
I'm
gonna say
saying?
too.
That's the other question.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, if they've been doing this since the Mark II release, then yeah, because the Mark II kind of shifted that because I mean, its melee hits about as hard as a raid. Play it like a raid.
Oh,
Also,
actually
when
tell
we
you.
when we look through the suits that are on the list, the ones that they're looking to address, I think it's also the idea that like the Striker Custom is just considered an outlier in terms of that kind of performance and
I
statistics.
agree.
So a lot of this is leaning harder towards OG raids, things that have been around for a hot minute that are still struggling within their cost ranges. And there have been some people who have been making a big bid for these are high skilled suits. And now you're just going to make it easier for the people who have been focusing on those suits this entire time for the sake of making it only slightly easier for people who suck with them. So now I feel like that's more the support crew just airing out some salt because now they got to deal with this once that actually drops.
I mean, I'm a support guy, and yes, if you decide a new type on alcohol like I did last night, in the Akai, and get like how much?
That was amazing.
How much
That was
damage
stupid. How did you get top damage in that match?
I was intoxicated.
Just smashed out of your mind, and that's all it took.
That's all it took. Hikaru was like, "You were going to intensify that waddle," and I'm like, "I'm going to intensify that waddle. Let me set up." New type.
Cupcakes helped.
And then I was just like, I acted like it was a Thunderbolt Akai. That's what happened. I channeled the new suit that hasn't come out yet. But yeah,
It needs to. Like
Emblem,
just from
I don't
that
know.
display alone, it needs to happen.
I don't know if you were still awake when that happened. Were you there for that game?
I mean, I was in there raining cupcakes. Unless you're talking about a different match.
Oh no, that
'Cause
was
I
that
watched
game.
Yeah,
That was
remember
that,
we were
yeah,
all
that was
there
that game.
throwing
I'm
bits at
sorry.
you.
I yes. But that was that game. Yeah, I mean, but that was like how maybe it was the bits, guys. That's what it was.
The power
the
of
cupcakes.
money.
The power of the
Those.
cupcakes. It's the power of the cupcakes, man. But like, so yeah, if you suddenly new type with it, you can do work. I don't know how that happened, but it just clicked. I've never hit
I
that
do
many.
feel like
Nutty,
I do
though.
feel like raid suits have that higher potential in terms of just like when you're actually on top of shit, they had the output to make it worth it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I will say this though, for the Akai, I think I hit as many Akai shots in that one game because I hit pretty much most all of them somehow. For
Mhm.
the mega particle cannon or whatever it is, the beam,
Your Mega Buster.
mega particle beam or whatever it is, I hit so many shots that game that I think I hit all the shots that I've ever hit with the Akai. And I've played quite a
Like
few
that's just
Akai
your
games.
entire percentage.
That was like my entire I just like I just brought it back up. Like every shot I've ever fired that I've ever hit out of my 100 games with the Akai or whatever, I just matched it with one game. And
Actually, I wonder statistically if you even had 100 matches in that suit.
I can find out. But so anyway, Akai, if we haven't actually said it, is going to be one of the suits that is getting changed.
Yes,
And in my
which
opinion,
is amazing.
on paper, the Akai looks brilliant. It looks OP.
Mhm.
You've got a good dodge roll. You got pretty much the same amount of health. You got roughly the same amount of defense as the other raid suits. You got good range. Okay, the
You
machine
got a
gun's
fucking
kind of meh.
roll.
The missile kind of sucks, but you got the dodge roll. It's just amazing for its kit. But
Mhm.
that
It's a
beam,
raid.
if you have even a little bit of lag, maybe I wasn't lagging that game too. Maybe that was it. But you just miss. If there's like you have to aim the center of the dot that's in the center of that circle. You have to be on the center of the dot just to hit your target. If that's not on the whatever you're aiming at, you're gonna miss because that beam's so thin. Like they really need to give it the Goku cannon treatment for sure.
Give it a bigger hitbox.
Oh yeah, I mean the Goku cannon feels pretty good now. Just saying. Okay,
Just
here
a
we
little
go.
information clarification. They do tell you what what date range the date is from. It's through the 17th of January to the 25th of February, and the Striker Custom came out on the 20th. It's got a week's worth of Striker Custom data, which probably isn't enough to make a difference on their data. So I'd
Yeah.
probably say it was before the custom. Although I don't think the custom negates the fact that raids need some love.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I would say they'd figure that to be an outlier in terms of that suit.
So by the way, I have about 50 games in the Akai.
Oh,
So here we go.
gotta pump up those numbers.
I have a bad feeling I'm going to get a lot of Akai requests in the future. That
Oh
patch can't
no.
come soon enough. Let's go. But okay, so cool. Oh yeah, there it is. Data collection period. Yeah. Oh, and then also B or higher rating as well.
And we'll just run around clubbing at lower cost anyway. So
Also, they did rare team formations were the ratio of the number of sorties in less than 1%. What are they talking about? All support comps? Come on, guys. All support
Yeah,
comps is
sounds
meta.
right. No, it's not. It's trash.
Hey man, I have so many all support comp games. We win a lot.
Garbaggio.
Just we intensify that barrage, man.
Straight doo doo. I will say, like, big down barrage compositions are hilarious to look at, though.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
Because
they are.
you don't think it's a big deal, and then you start getting pelted by all that gunfire, just like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it takes like I don't know the exact number, but it's like let's just say 100 shots before you get staggered from that thing.
Mhm.
Well, then you have 2, so it's half. Then you have another one, so it's like every
Yeah,
one
and
you
then on
add
top
on,
of
it's
that,
just
if you try to
like
get cheeky, or if you're hitting a lot for the shield, you just get nailed by a beam.
oh yeah, it's gross. So yeah, I love having a double. Like that's what we were running actually in the clan matches, and we were getting smashed against some of those teams that had like a couple of A pluses on their team and stuff.
Hmm.
And we were kind of getting outclassed a little bit, and then I was just like, okay, crazy idea, down barrage comp, let's go. And then we just like wrecked one game finally, and then we ran out of time. But we just finally, I mean, it took us a few tries, but on that Dom Barrage comp, we were doing a whole lot better than without it. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Like legit, I do like a 2 support comp in a 6v6. Just saying.
Yeah, at 6, there's a lot more leeway for it. You
Yeah.
start doing that in 5s, and I'm gonna
Fives,
be like,
I can kind of see the problem in 5s. I can agree.
judgmental,
I can agree.
judgmental glare intensifies.
That's why I was saying. I mean, I love 5v5s, but I also like to see a second support. So that's where my conflict is. But
yeah,
anyway, so the problems here, like you said, cost 550, 500, 250, and 200. Which, I mean, we know there's a problem in 200, of course, because there's just not a lot of
a
variety.
lack of diversity there. Yeah.
And
that guy, light armor, Zaku 1. That's all you got.
that's
Yeah,
it.
you bump up a little bit, and at least you get the goof. But even then,
So I mean, is all they're really changing though the Akai?
yeah, for that cost, yeah.
Yeah, for 200.
I think you should look at the Zaku 1. Maybe give it maneuver armor or something, but I
Yeah.
obviously don't see that being a problem. So
Yeah, people have been doing some work in that thing. Surprising. It
I
couldn't
mean,
hurt
Zaku,
though.
sure.
I feel like they've kitted out enough Zaku's that you can be like, this one has maneuver armor. Like, fuck it.
it needs something. Like, honestly, I would say give it a dodge roll.
Give it those spike knuckles so it can fuck around with another weapon just for shits.
That'd be kind of cool. Like if you give that one a dodge roll and then come out with like Rumble Raw Zaku. I know I keep saying it, but I think that would be the perfect 200
No, fuck
cost
that. Give
Zaku
it
one.
the Boogoo. Make his the Boogoo.
There we go. Then at 250, are we just getting another Akai buff? Is that it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. Akai needs some love there, but
The
what do you
bigger stuff
guys
is just for high cost.
what do you guys think about the other 200 and 250s? Obviously, I know we just kind of talked about the 200 stuff, but what do you guys think about 250 suits? Like,
The goof feels pretty fine. Like they recently buffed a heat rod with it at those at that particular cost. And I mean the suit itself is always clapped. Like I don't think the normal goof is in any awkward spot as long as it doesn't get ASR'd or some nonsense. Um the Zuta's 250, right? Yeah. Or
yeah,
is it
Yeah.
300?
yeah,
Okay.
that's when it gets
Yeah, the
introduced.
Zuda still feels fine. I mean, it has a dodge roll and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I had a decent run at it. It was in space, but like even so. Like that anti-ship rifle is still putting in work.
I mean, pretty
I kind
much
of wanted to have a balancer at lower cost.
the way I kind of see it though is kind of what I was when I was talking about like the Rambaral Zaku is it kind of takes the lower cost version of like a Goof. It has a shield kind of thing. A little bit different play style, but you could kind of fit that in there in that sense. I don't know what else they could do at 200 though. But just having the Zuda for the counter sniper playstyle and the Goof that can go in there and really do some work, and it's not as punishing as say trying to get in there with the GM Light or
What
the
cost?
Zaku one.
What cost is the land combat type at?
250.
250.
So that's
250.
another one, and
But I
then
mean, it's fine. That thing is
yeah, that
gross.
thing is
Yeah.
OP.
That's cool, and I hope that they introduce it to the RT shop or something soon.
Yeah,
Whatever it is they're going to be doing for rotations.
yeah, we can talk about
I
I
the
always
believe
feel
they're
cosmetics a
like
just
little bit
one
going
later.
through
day,
the lottery.
yeah,
Yeah, they said they were going to do lottery when they actually get to the next suit, but I'm curious what they're going to do with the clan stuff. We can talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, we can go ahead and skip to the 500 and 550 section here. So, as far as the list goes, we have the Afreet Kai Unit 5. I was kind of surprised to see that on there.
yeah, same.
I think the Unit 5 is fine. I'm curious to see why they think it's missing something. I like
don't
it
know,
for its
man.
ranged. I know Emblem, you said you like it for its melee, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's good range in melee. But like the only change they made to Unit 5 was give it force injection, which
Yeah,
doesn't like it's good for like positioning, I guess, and stuff for the people that like force injection. But I mean, it didn't bring anything else to the table. Um, I think it'd be fine. Maybe they'll make its Gatling gun have. I mean, I don't know. I don't. It'd be interesting to see what they change because I think it's in a pretty solid spot. Maybe just get maneuver armor 2 or something, which
that'd be nice.
should change. But I'm just expecting them to make the changes, and it's just going to be nonsense. Like we're going to give them all quick boosts.
Slight
Quick
stat
boost,
boost, yeah,
yeah.
or like
Like
slight stat boost or something like that.
Like that's what I'm
yeah,
feeling with the Unit 5. I'm like, I mean, it kind of feels fine to me though. But the Afreet Kai, I feel like it does need something. I mean, its downswing is gross, but that's about all it has.
Yeah,
Um,
they need to just buff the overall stats for those exam suits. Like, I get that that's supposed to be the gimmick that you're supposed to be able to do all this crazy stuff when you're in that mode, but right now, compared to some of the other suits that they're going against, um, just power wise, these suits by comparison are always an exam. Like you have to pop in order to even match them.
yeah. The next one on the list is the Pixie. What do you think about that emblem?
I think if they just give it more boost, and I think level 2 force injection would help it out. Like
Oh, that'd be
additional
hype.
thrust and force injection.
Okay, there we
It
go.
just needs
And a
to be
dodge roll.
faster.
And a bazooka.
Whoa! Hang on. Now hold on there.
And in fact, put an arm cannon on it so it can have like a hard stagger too.
Now hold
Yeah,
on
for
there.
sure.
Now hold
And
on
then
there.
give it another set of kunai in there.
Yeah, except cold kunai. Double dodge roll.
Literally, it's just 2 hunks of metal that you throw at people. Like every suit should have that.
Oh gosh.
But no, realistically, like the melee damage on the pixie's on point. I just think
Mm.
it burns out of its boost too fast.
I can see that.
And I mean, just looking at the desert Gogoog, which you essentially trade
They
off
should
some of
have
the
that skill on there. That would be amazing.
yeah,
For
that skill would be nice. The
anything
10%
with force
reduce.
injection at this point should have that.
Yeah. But it needs a little bit something else. Force injection 2 for sure. And more thrust at the least.
Yeah, I can see that. What I've played,
Yeah,
I
like
could
45. I mean, like Miyahu's was saying, 45 thrusters on that thing. It's a joke.
And maybe they could do something about the ridiculously long cooldown on the double SMGs.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe
like-
actually giving it an okay primary.
Yeah,
Just
Oh,
give
yeah,
it
I
a
can see
decent
that.
bit
better.
of.
Yeah.
Like it's good burst damage when you're already initiated with somebody or you're like coming up from behind. Because you got to remember, it's ultimately still a stealth suit. And a lot of the surprise from seeing it is because you didn't see it before.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. The Gian. Woo!
Oh. So here's where people are starting to draw the line, right? There are some people that are like, the thing's output with that saber is insane. That people who are high skill have been like clapping cheeks, especially in ace matches, yada yada. This is where a lot of people are like, it doesn't need to be changed. And I'm like, bruh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
We've been advocating for that thing for so long. Not even just a shield, but just a better primary. There are only a few people who are really particularly crafty with those hide bombs. And I get that that's supposed to be zoning and stuff, but even in stuff like for Arctic, there's a lot of spots that people can reach so quickly. You can't really set up your own stage like that in this suit.
Pretty much. So I wonder if they could just make it to where you actually could shoot those bombs really fast rather than just like one at a time. Just put them all out real quick to be like pew pew pew. How many does it
Yeah,
have?
and I think like what, 3?
Yeah, I was thinking 3. So you just hit pew pew pew, and then you've kind of just zoned off an area in front of you. You just kind of swing it, kind of thing.
I mean, in the first place, that's supposed to be how the fucking needle launcher is. It's supposed to be waves of those needles coming out at once.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not supposed to be this array coming out in like a fancy circle or something. Like somebody in the department for the animation was like, "Doesn't that look cool?" And they just left it like that.
Yeah, sure.
Ugh.
But yeah, so it needs a buff. I mean,
Like they can make that like the anti-air gun. Just have it come out in big bursts.
that'd be kind of
Stagger
cool.
out how many can launch at once, and then give it something to actually work towards in terms of its consecutive stun.
Kind of turn it into a weird like anti-air gun shotgun kind of thing or something.
Yeah.
That'd be
Now
kinda
the bigger thing with that, if they ever did try that, which I kind of doubt they would, is trying to come to an agreement of how many of the shots would have to hit on target.
Yeah, that's another thing. Well, I mean, that's his biggest problem right now.
But I
because there goes
feel
the
like
whole
the shield, its array is very tight when you see it actually come out, so it might not be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like it'd just be like a small like cone or something in front of it.
But I mean, again, from people complaining that it does too much damage or whatever. I mean, I like playing it; it's kind of cool. But as a support player going against it, I'm not afraid of again. I'm like, I mean, once you get on me, I'm dead. But good luck getting there. So unless there's a
Yeah.
teammate working with them, I pretty much can 1v1 again, no problem. I don't know. That's my biggest issue with it. There's no threat there for me.
Yeah, the Gan's all about ambushes and
Follow
very
up when you're
very
from other
aggressive
people's
murder
stats.
balling.
Yeah. And
Like if it has a crew to run with, and it can just kind of poke its little saber out through shit, then like that's where it's comfortable.
Yeah, but I mean, it does do damage. There's no doubt that saber. So I really think they should add a shield to it, buff its little shield missiles, and then lower its saber damage just slightly.
No,
And
just keep it.
I think like changing the melee damage, it wouldn't be a good thing. Because I mean, with unless you're like reducing the amount of needle missiles it takes to stagger, I mean, it still doesn't have any good means to
well,
get in
that's
there
what
and
I'm
set
saying.
up.
Like, give it a shield, change the missiles, and then so that it has its own decently consistent stagger. Maybe make it shoot the bombs really quick so you can just throw out a bunch of them and then kind of like wall off an area so that somebody can't come from behind or whatever. Or if somebody's coming around the corner, boom, 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 and there's 3
I
right
wouldn't
there.
mind having a higher capacity for it too, to be honest.
That'd be kind of cool. But I think it should be able to set up faster and then
Yeah.
slightly, I'm not saying like chunk the damage off, but slightly reduce the damage just a little bit.
No.
Because you'll probably still be able to one combo any support in the game. You just won't be able to one combo any general.
Nah, screw those generals.
Gotta make it
I mean, I'm a
in general.
support player, so I have to agree with that statement.
Yeah, and I mean
But,
the bigger thing that we're talking about here is that it has to keep up with said generals at those cost ranges too. Like they're not going to be adjusted in kind, as far as we know. So this is
Yeah.
all purely leaning on the raid side and the adjustments that are made there.
But
So yeah, I'd say just keep it, see what happens.
I'm scared, but I could deal. Because their legs are pretty easy to break too. You have to pretty much use a leg part. Going against if you see a Dom Barrage, they know what they're doing. They're gonna missile your legs, and then they're gonna laugh at you. Pretty much. I got my Quattro Rochers on, so we're good. Okay, Goof Custom. Please really help this thing out. Please. They just put in, I mean, again, not even talking about the gun cannon 2 that they put in 2 levels of on that thing. But
bizarre. And we got a 550 for the custom.
And we just got the 550 Goof Custom. Please give this thing some pretty good buffs. like give this thing, I don't know, GAN levels of melee damage or something. I don't care. Just give this thing some awesome stuff, dude. Like I could deal with this thing being overpowered.
Well, the way they're gonna buff the Goof Custom is whenever you sorting it at 400 and up, they just send you out into flight type instead.
Like, hey, you want to switch your legs out?
Oh,
yeah, we're good with that.
Hook me up.
They give you the test flight types legs. I was like, it's good enough.
Oh gosh, for real though. But they really need to do something big here for this.
Like it's got the tools, right? That cable's pretty solid. It chunks with its sword and all that stuff, but that Gatling gun is a tough. When you're having to like lean on your hand Gatling,
well,
for the extra stun and stuff.
You know, I know Chad's played a lot, so I was talking to him about it actually yesterday, and I think we kind of agreed that the kind of main thing is playing around that heat rod, and that's what I've felt. Any of the people that I see at 500 cost actually doing really well, they just come around the corner, pop you with the heat rod, and you just be like, okay, get ready, you're taking a knee.
Time to clamp.
Yeah. So like,
because I feel like a lot of good players are starting to lean on the Marasai for that exact reason. Because now they have one that comes out even faster.
And then with both of those, going back to the Akai thing of being like, well, all you gotta do is get good. Whoa, that was a big lightning flash. But all you gotta do is get good. Yeah, with the heat rod, which is just about as bad as the Akai's beam. The hit. All I'm saying.
It is pretty brutal. I still kind of want it to have a side swipe, even if it would have a different kind of like hitbox on it. Like if we can have that suit swinging around and like wrapping its cable around stuff like fucking
Oh,
Tarzan and some
that'd be
shit
crazy,
in the
dude.
show, we can have it swipe out. It wouldn't have a downswing because that'd be kind of weird. I don't know how you would actually make the box for that.
I want it though. I want to see that happen. All I'm saying.
I don't know though. Like, I think the heat rod's in a pretty good place as far as it goes. Like, the reason the limitations are on it is because instead of like the standard goof that has those swing variations, the goof custom and the VD in that regard um
Takes a
put
knee.
a mobile suit to a knee, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why it has those limitations put on it. Kind of like the same reason why the Gian hits so hard is because it has, for the most part, very straightforward, pokey kind of melee swings. There's like a reason for it,
Yeah.
but like I don't know. I think if
I
they're gonna
thought
make
the
any
neutral on
changes,
the goof. I thought the neutral on the goof actually still did the hard stagger though.
not that I'm aware of.
No.
I know they didn't do that for the other ones, or at least for the side, because that's like still a big area for that to be able to hit from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Which
believe so. I remember hitting supports with the neutral, and it puts them on a normal stagger.
yeah, it's a
But
normal stagger from what I know. I mean, I don't think I've ever hard staggered with it. But the the main point I was getting at here though is it revolves around playing well with that heat rod right now. Because everything else, you can't really just like fully play ranged or fully play, you have to use the heat rod to get in there for the melee. You can't really use anything else. And the range is okay, but it's not gonna really be the craziest thing. Unless you literally just get to free just gatling somebody without any kind
Yeah,
of
which is weird because they lean it towards range more anyway.
yeah.
It's
So
almost like they do want you to do like mid and then close when stuff starts to get hot.
so yeah, I think the heat rod's fine. I agree with that. What I'm saying is they need to definitely give it something else though. Because the only people that I see doing crazy stuff and getting top scores is the people who just pop around, turn sideways, look, and heat rod you with like perfect accuracy, no big deal.
what do you think they should change?
I mean,
Draven's
they
like, it just needs the ability to lift a chunk of ground as a shield and then throw it at people.
there you go. Maybe a
Dude,
little
we were talking
speed.
about that one time where just like you do the bridge thing, like in Gundam Versus, and you just
Yeah, just
rush towards people with the bridge part out and just throw it at them eventually.
Yeah, there you
But what were we saying about speed, Magnum?
go. Maybe give it a little bit of speed. Because I know they already buffed the left and right movement, didn't they?
I know they did
did.
for
They
the
did the
CD.
thrusters, and then they did. Trying to remember what they did already. I mean, they already buffed this like little
Yeah,
side
like they
Gatling.
picked at that suit before. Like that's
So
another good thing to bring up.
I want to see a little bit of a buff to the Gatling. Maybe if it's
The
just
main shield
damage.
Gatling gun.
Yeah. Let's see that go up a
Well,
little
don't
bit.
forget too, unless they make different weapons, any adjustment they make to the shield Gatling gun also goes to the goof flight type as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Crap.
Which is good. Fuck it.
No.
I want that
It's
shit to
really
be
bad.
amazing.
It's really bad. I just got it. It's really strong. I like it.
I mean, to be fair, flight type's not going to be able to take advantage of those higher level versions of the Gatling. But if they do it across all levels,
So
then yeah, that's
maybe
going to be a little rough.
I mean maybe some more health and speed. I don't know. Other than just giving it health and speed and just trying to buff its utility as much as possible. Maybe buffing its little sidearm Gatling even more. That's
Yeah,
all I
I
got.
mean, I feel like they're either gonna do some small tweaks here and there for that suit. Like, there's not gonna be any big, like, oh my god, this is like full tilt crazy now.
I
Because
want it
people
to be
can go
that
full
though.
tilt crazy in that suit already.
Kinda, but I don't know. Again, it's the whole skill cap argument though, and
Yeah,
as
and it
much as
is. For that suit in particular. I think that's the big thing, and that's why any changes that we see with it aren't gonna be like
well,
super hard to like know. Like this is the thing that put it over, right?
I mean, well, here's my other argument against it, right? the biggest buff to the Goof Custom, in my opinion, in the longest time. You know what I think the biggest buff was?
Hmm.
Ruin City.
Yeah. Just having more
Honestly,
situations to like properly run that suit.
yeah, like that's pretty much been its biggest buff. So I'd also be curious to know what maps they were taking some of this data from.
I would hope for all of them.
Trying to look.
Yeah, I would
I
assume this
wonder.
is just for 30s overall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is though is I wonder which. I wonder if that was actually. I mean, would be kind of interesting to know.
Like where a lot of those stem from map wise.
Yeah, like if it was getting like a 70% win rate on say ruins, but then had like a 40% win rate on desert.
Hmm.
I don't know. So that's kind of a big curiosity. Which also, what is the next one doing on this list?
What?
Unless we, I mean, well, any other thoughts about the Goof Custom?
They're gonna give it quick boost and leg shock absorb higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll give it flight controller so it can do an extra hop. Wouldn't that
Oh
be
my
nice? Yeah, that's one of those ones that I think, like, as much as we're trying to figure out stuff to do for it, I think they're gonna have just as much of a hard time.
Ugh.
So we'll just have to see what happens.
Okay, so this one, BD2. They're putting the BD2
That's
on
weird.
here.
Why is that in there? Pourquoi?
Well, don't forget this is 500, 550, so that's Mark II
Oh,
territory.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Never mind. Good point. Good point. Really good point.
It has been tapering off in terms of usage too. Like a lot of people are getting those customs and it's pretty much being shelled.
Yeah, like who wants to run the BD2 when the Striker custom exists?
Pretty much.
Like customs have been able to bully people off the spot
Oh my gosh.
for compositions
Yeah.
pretty consistently.
I think that was the thing that I said was like I wonder how this is going to change the meta for the BD2. Will it still be like king at the BD2 level 2 or
The answer was no.
no? Yeah, the answer was Striker Custom True Strong, and I did not realize it in that when we first talked about it.
Yeah, we were just too dazzled by this too. Like it's just so amazing.
I
But
mean,
it's wreaked havoc at its cost in terms of just composition and like the kind of suits people are comfortable taking out in case they have to run into it. Like if you thought we had a Mark II problem before, we definitely do now.
oh yeah, like yeah, that suit's just crazy. But BD2, I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do. Emblem, do you have any idea? Because I mean, other than just a
Everything.
stat boost, other than just some random stat boost, that's about all I got.
Quick boost, level 2, and leg shock absorber. Level
Give
2.
it fighting stance.
Yeah. Maybe at higher cost, they give it a third melee swing.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Whew. That was a loud one.
There's thoughts of maybe they go about undoing the change they made to the rockets.
Ooh.
I know they nerfed the rockets from the chest at one point.
Unlock its potential once more.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
still feel the Rockets
I
are
don't.
pretty solid.
Right. I mean, I feel you there. I agree.
I feel like they're
Um,
more solid just because the BD3 gets to fuck around with them though. Like there's another suit that can just kind of do that. But
Mhm.
for the sake of making these more competitive, yeah, just take it off. Fuck it.
But it's
Make the
interesting
exception.
just because you have to think about it in the case of them making changes to the suit just at the cost specified. So they can't do anything like how they gave the Pale Rider ground the rocket launcher as well.
Mhm.
They don't seem to want to make changes that impact all of them. So as far as like an actual just
Yeah,
cost goes,
it's stats and skills across the board.
yeah, pretty
Pretty
much.
yeah.
Maybe weapon changes. If they just do like higher levels of the ground type beam rifle or something
Mhm.
like that, or maybe like the double swords that increase the damage output. But Yeah, poise control. Maybe give an extra melee swing to the higher levels. Combo control level 2, maybe.
To be honest, I feel like they should buff the ground rifle anyway, just because so many more suits are able to utilize it now.
Hmm.
That would be interesting.
You know, we're getting so many other instant stun rifles now anyway. That's like you gotta have some sort of appeal to that.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the reasons why it kind of struggles too, is because that's a charge. And
Mhm.
all these other suits.
Could you imagine if they
It's
threw a
stunning
GM2
cats.
rifle at it?
Oh my gosh.
There
That would be
It's
gross.
just like,
you go.
That would just be terrifying. Which I play that suit, so I maybe take that. But yeah. Kind of surprised to see that one on the list though. Not
it's
really
just a sign
surprised to see
of
the
the
next two.
times we live in.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I also said the BD2 is kind of one of the more skill caps. Like,
I feel like that's the same case with the next two though.
yeah.
The proto gets run pretty hard. There's a lot of people who still run that suit at its cost ranges. We are talking about higher costs though, and the fact that they keep bumping things up to that cost is a little weird.
Well, I mean, like
So
the
yeah,
next two.
proto in that regard can still have a hard time.
Proto's kind of a one trick though. You shoot the bazooka, you downswing. Then
Mhm.
you downswing again and say, haha, I deleted you. So, I mean, it's got the damage.
Yeah, there's also other suits that can just kind of do that though,
Yeah.
while also having another mode on top of it. So like this is less about just it having to deal with um Mark IIs and the fact that it's also competing with other raids at its cost.
So,
That and the G3, it's kind of their deal right now.
more health with those two? G3
Uh,
getting the hyper hammer?
G3 had hyper hammer would be
Prototype getting the
hilarious.
hyper. Wait,
Honestly, the G3 would be cool if it had the dual sabers. I wouldn't mind it.
G3 getting dual saber. That'd be pretty cool.
One consideration for the proto would be did you guys know that the prototype Gundam has a beam rifle?
It's
Yeah, it
true.
Maybe
has
making
the.
it an
Legend
instant
has
stun.
it
Yeah.
that there are people out there who run a strange prototype beam rifle.
Yeah. Maybe turn that into an insta stun.
They tried to buff the
Um,
beam rifle last time. They buffed it.
Or fuck, at least give it a charge if you're not gonna give it a instant stun.
hmm.
I don't have a high level proto, but I was trying to figure out what kind of health it had at higher levels. That was because I figured they're gonna give it more health. Because at
Like
350,
if
it's one of the tankiest raids that you got.
like now that we have this lower output Gelgoog rifle for the desert, I don't see why they couldn't give it at least a charge if they're not gonna give it an instant stun for the prototype. Or maybe make
Okay,
its does it have Vulcans on it?
check real quick.
Because you could
I'll
just
say
make
yes.
those more aggressive.
It does, yeah.
Or Draven brought up, at least make it, if you're gonna have it be low output, like make it a faster rate of fire, kind of like the Alex or something. Give it a smaller stun threshold for consecutive hits.
That'd be kind
That
of
wouldn't be bad either.
yeah.
Make it like Alex level. I wouldn't mind that just in general. Something kind of like the heavy rifle for the light armor. I would say also what would be something for people who don't care about any of that and who are more prone to using the bazooka anyway. What would be the bigger things for those kind of players for the prototype?
You're talking level 5 at that point.
Because you also have to remember that the Hyper
Or level
is a
4.
very common bazooka to get anyway. It's not that hard to acquire.
I mean, more health maybe. That's kind of my only concern looking at some of the stats here on these.
I think they would give it quick boost level 2 and leg shock absorber.
I do think that giving more suits the initial boost mitigation that the Gelgoog, Desert Gelgoog has would be nice.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Especially when
that
you're
would be
talking
good.
about
that'd be cool.
especially for the G3 because it does have force injection and it can react very quickly to stuff. Curbing off that initial expenditure would be nice. On top of just giving it better FE if it doesn't have it already.
Yeah, I think a lot of general raids need something to help them stay maneuverable. Like you kind of notice it with the skill activation suits with exams and Hades and such,
Mhm.
but actually being able like raids are pretty much one man versus the entire enemy team. It's not like generals where you're kind of holding a line with like a rest of the group. You're
Yeah, the point of the
generally
raid
trying
is
to
to
circle
break the
around.
line.
Right. Make use of confusion, get behind people, and do stuff like that. So it'd be nice if they just honestly introduced more stuff to help you
Be
be able to stay
survivable.
mobile. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, raids need to be moving around, staying quick. Don't really need to be in one place too long. And a lot of times you're going to be in a situation where you're trying to finish off the support while one or two of the generals are like turning around to come and get you. So
Yeah, like
just
stunning
be
you to
able to,
death. Things to
yeah,
work
be able to
through
be more
that.
visible. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's like, would that just be maneuver armor level 2? Like, I don't know.
Maybe
I
that or
think
the
that,
offense system kind of thing. That stuff.
yeah.
The pose and all that, yeah. Yeah, some of the things that have been relegated to only specific suits, I feel they need to spread out a lot more, especially when it comes to more radius stuff.
Yeah. I agree with that.
These suits can't have a premium on that shit anymore if you're honestly talking about these higher cost raids trying to keep up with the other types.
Yeah, because I
Like
mean,
it was cute
you'll
in the
hear
beginning.
people,
You can't do that
because
shit anymore.
you'll hear people say like, um, at that point we're just making every single suit the same. But I
The
mean,
Zeta suits are all the same. They all just have these
well,
one shot like rifles and they're doing the
mhm,
usual unga bunga shit. You know, the cable that the Marasai has isn't that different from the shit that we've already been doing anyway. It's just that it's on a higher cost suit that's
Well,
actually survivable at that cost. You know, meanwhile, the one that's on the new level 5 custom, no one's gonna whip that shit up because it's too dangerous. Because they don't have anything else to defend themselves with in the meantime when they have to stand still. So like that's what this whole overhaul is supposed to be about. Keeping up with other suits that can do that kind of shit while also being able to do their jobs.
yeah, power creep is definitely real.
what well, speaking of power creeps then, do you think they missed anything in these numbers? Like, do you think another cost even? Because I mean, I don't know if I have every raid, but at 300, I mean, seems pretty solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ones that are falling off at that point are the GM Light, the Zaku 1, but
The other
that's
thing that
kind
we
of to be
need to know
expected.
the other thing that we need to know is that the problem cost ranges right now are the cost ranges that aren't very diverse. 500 is starting to come into its own. And the bigger thing at 500 is that you do have these higher end suits like the custom and stuff that just make some of the suits that are on this list moot. So I think that's the issue with those. 400, 450 are extremely diverse.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's a lot of suits at all those cost ranges, including even 300 and 350, that can handle their own.
Well, I mean,
And they're common enough for players that like you're not really worried about getting them.
do you think there's a suit that just doesn't have a place though, being there at that cost? Like, I mean, do you think there's anything underpowered at this point? Like, I think the closest one at 400 might be the Goof, but
They
I've
did make the
still had.
changes to that level.
I was gonna say it feels pretty good. I tried
Yeah,
it.
and I've had some solid
bad.
runs with it.
So
Like it's definitely something that I think a lot of people are still scoffing at when it comes up, but I
Yeah.
feel like there's enough people who are running it right now that can kind of like put those fears to rest.
yeah, so I
I honestly think every raid at the non-mentioned cost would be in a better place if shotguns weren't in the game. Honestly,
I mean, at the same time, the DS would pretty much be nothing without it.
well, welcome to the life of every other raid DS.
Oh yeah.
Like, let's go ahead and make
Like
it
imagine if they got
fair
rid of
enough.
that and just like all the free players just looking at each other like,
'cause I mean,
we actually had
I've
to
heard
like,
stuff like, mhm.
because they also had to remember that that's on the camphor. That thing,
Right.
being the little piece of tissue paper that it is, needs all that
Mm.
burst damage.
pretty much. I found out
It is
playing
interesting
in
though
a
because it
1v1.
seems like they're very slow to give other raids that kind of shotgun. Like the assault has this dumb little like spaz shotgun
Oh yeah.
by comparison, and it
Well,
can do the consecutive stun on it, but it's like, come on now. Compared to when you're running into a camphor that can just blast your shit open and then just destroy you.
well, that's a Xeon shotgun, so I mean, that's kind of why it does its thing. Um, I don't know. I know there's only 3 suits that have the shotgun, but they're pretty prevalent in the meta.
Yeah, like
Like,
they've
that
never lost their place in their
yeah.
cause. Like you to this day, even when you talk about like the camphor, like all the extra weapons that it has, the fact that it can initiate really fast into melee afterwards, and that it has like relatively safe swings for the range and like the vectors that they go out at. Um, it's still putting in work. And there's a lot of people that aren't afraid to run it.
But yeah, 500 and up, I think they've pretty much hit every suit that I could think of that definitely I
Yeah.
would say needs something. A couple that I'm questioning because of some of the others even, but yeah, they definitely hit all the suits that definitely need something.
Yeah, that's why I've been saying for a lot of this list, it's just like a lot of the OG suits,
Yeah, pretty much. So
that need to be looked at. So
but yeah, any other thoughts on the ground stuff? Because next they have a full space list.
for space.
We can move on.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing, same time frame, being higher, same kind of criteria, and this one is literally just for the well 500 and 550 because your only options pretty much in everything else. I mean, take out the Akai there. So
Yeah.
Definitely want to buff the Akai.
Low cost space in and of itself needs to be addressed in a different manner at this point. Like that
yeah.
has nothing to do with this kind of like grade buff stuff.
By the way, on a side note, before we get into this list of these, I'm kind of curious. I just was thinking about this. What if they're going to do a pass for every type? Just like this. Or they're going to do a general pass and they're going to do a support pass.
So the interesting
doubt
thing
it.
about this one is that it's across the board a buff. If we're talking about them doing a pass in terms of just general changes for suits across the board, it would be nice. It would be a little scary, especially for some of the more established suits at those cost ranges, but I don't think they would be as comprehensive. And I don't think if they did do it, it would be positive across the board. It would just be general changes as opposed to an overhaul / buff range for just a list of suits.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Because I wouldn't say like there's anything 200 cost really. That's just like get that support out of here. Maybe buff
If
the
anything, there's
GM
just too many
cannon
of
a
those
little bit more.
fuckers at 200.
Oh
How
yeah,
many
for the
different cannon
generals.
suits do you need?
Well, I
Like,
mean,
Jesus.
okay. Hey man, I like that.
And the fact that they can all
But
run these other weapons
the
viably and act like Blue Zuka suits because the other generals are so fucking slow.
okay, I will agree with that statement a little bit. But how many generals do we need? Like in comparison, got 6.
And then we got the trainers in there
And then
just
yeah, it's like
gangling
you got the
around.
trainer, you got the GM, you got the GM ground, you got the GM Kai,
Get
which are
Night
pretty
Seeker.
much, and the Night Seeker, which are pretty much all the same suit. You get the recon, the GM camouflage.
And we might get the
Which is
GM
two different
head
things.
weapon rack at some point
Oh my
too.
gosh, that would be awesome. And then you got the Zaku 2, Zaku Desert,
The S
and
type.
the S, which is kind of essentially kind of the same, well, almost the same as just all the GMs there.
Except for one swing, which is kind of goofy.
Oh yeah, on the S, yeah. But I mean, you essentially have what is that? 1, 2, 7 suits, 7, 8 suits that are pretty much the exact same thing, just with slightly different stats.
Especially like if we're talking from a new player perspective too, right? Like we understand some of the like the minutia of those suits and what makes them different or like threatening.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about people rolling for suits or people getting them from drops, and it's like, why would I use this above this?
And
You
then
know,
there's
when
the
you're
FS.
talking about trying to get people hooked into the game early on, that's a rough sell.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, the FS. Yeah.
so what's that? Essentially 4 different types of suits for general, and one of those types has 8 suits. Like what? But I'm actually kind of digging the desert now. Kind of a fan.
Oh, the Desert Taku.
Yeah, like with this little
Yeah,
arm missile pod and
everything
stuff.
in the kitchen sink, just
Yeah.
throwing all kinds of shit at people. I've always liked that suit because of that. I've had to concede getting into melee a lot more just for the downswing because it doesn't lean towards melee more. It's good as a follow up though, especially when you're murder balling with people.
But I am a fan of that suit now. It grew on me. Pretty much, honestly, I was like, "What's this Zaku shooting a missile pod at me?" And I just kind of forgot about it forever. I was just like,
like, what is this mysterious?
What is this thing? What is this? I don't even know. I don't venture into generals that much.
Okay, wait. We're getting away from ourselves here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Tangent time. Okay, back to the main thing here. Good call. Good call.
In that regard, just since we're getting back to the main thing, I don't see them doing a lot of changes like this. And honestly, I kind of hope that the adjustments they make are drastic. That's kind of why I think the 200 and 250 adjustments are a little bit lacking. Because I mean, when I read this letter that Kobe did, I'm looking as more of like at those costs. The raid class is pretty much sending out a cry for help, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they literally have a class that no one's playing, and
when they do play, they're punished for it.
right. I mean, you lose, like there's a higher chance of losing for raid in your team at these costs. I think they need to make strong, drastic changes in order to have them in. So it'll be interesting, I guess. And
The
honestly,
cynicism is heavy until we actually see how sweeping the changes are.
Yeah.
Just because haven't we
right.
seen the other unit changes before?
Yeah, because I mean, they can't just do little minor HP adjustments and stuff because I mean, it's not gonna make those raids relevant. You know, they've got to do something big and like I mean, give suits dodge rolls or level up their maneuver armor or give them new weapons or something like that. Um, so it'll be interesting.
So you want higher level of quick boost and shock absorber, right?
Yes, exactly. I think that'll be everything that those suits need.
I was really trying to keep
every
a
raid
straight
suit.
face I can on that.
Every
Oh
raid
man.
suit needs special leg buffer 3.
Oh, you already have level 2 leg buffer. Here's level 3.
Here's level 3. No big deal.
You
Oh
don't even
shoot,
have
they
the
already
foot
has
on
quick boost
parts.
level 2.
It'll be okay.
But so the big thing that they point out, they even make a point of saying the winning rate of full armor Gundam Thunderbolt,
Oh, poor Thunderbolt,
which has a
dude.
large number of sorties, was as
Because of
low as 43.8%.
So you know what that was? When people started getting it in the RT shop and they were able to buy it in the DP, and it's like a bunch of people like Thunderbolt.
Yep.
You know, because it's one of the more recent, like high-end things that people have been either introduced to or like hardcore fans are like, this is the kind of UC shit that I want, you know, yada yada.
I mean, honestly,
And then you
Thunderbolt's
start
tied,
playing that suit, and it's just like, this shit is cheeks. It's absolute cheeks.
but I mean, for me, Thunderbolt's tied for like my top 2 favorite
Mhm.
Gundam series period.
It's also just one of the more relevant, like, UC things besides just, like, people who were on Unicorn early
Yeah.
before they started airing it and all that.
But so in space, the I guess we can just go down the list, get to the Thunderbolt.
Yeah, it's honestly a few suits are gone, but it's the same mobile suits plus Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so Unit 5, what do you think they would do in space just to...
I don't see it having a heavy usage in space. I
I mean,
don't know what they would really change
I
on
played
it.
a lot in space when I needed a raid, because always be
I
Gatling.
think it's good in space.
But I
Just like how the Space Pale Rider is really good.
yeah, I feel fine
I
with
feel
that.
like that's part of the reason that it doesn't get a lot though. They got to go head to head with those Pale Riders. It's like, you know what? Maybe I should just get something else.
I wonder if that is kind of what it is, actually.
At least for that suit.
Definitely at the 450.
What level is the Space Pale Rider?
You mean what cost?
Or yeah.
I think 400 and 450. So it would only be the level 1.
Yeah,
They're
like it's
saying
at
500 and 550 here with this tier
Yeah,
again.
so
this would be
that's
under
something relevant
cost.
in this discussion.
So I mean, I guess more Mark II, and then for 550, it's GPO1 FB is just gonna
And the
shred you apart.
fucking Zeong. Because anytime the Zeong sees you, it's gonna make sure you don't stand still with that Gatling.
Yeah, that's true.
And also your rifle starts to become moot because a lot of stuff's gonna have beam resistance. So you're gonna want to lean on that Gatling or anything else for range damage unless you're gonna just try to clap. But even then, unless you just don't have some of the higher end raids, you have better choices for melee.
I mean, Yan's on here again, but in space, it's...
Oof. You have a whole different vector to miss at.
Yeah, that was a little awkward. So with them being on both lists, I'm really curious if they're going to try to do change. I mean, they are going to be doing changes that will affect both, obviously, but I wonder
The
what they're
hide
tailoring
bomb
it to now.
situation for space would be nice if
Yeah,
they increase capacity that can be out at a time. You want to talk about being able to zone better with that suit. Doing it
actually,
in
rate
space,
of
where you
fire.
can actually have it come from like below or above too. Like that'd be pretty nice.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. The proto, pretty much the same thing with the G3 and the proto that we said. Like, just copy paste what we said. I think there for those.
Yeah.
BD2 again, kind of surprised that's on here, but again, at that cost, you're like, if you are going to do any raid, you're probably going to do... I mean, at 500, what is the main raid that I see at 500? Honestly, I think the main raid that
Striker
I see...
Custom.
Oh yeah, never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
Striker
no.
Custom
it's
now,
still
never
there.
mind. But I mean, before
And if
Striker
it's not the
Custom...
Striker Custom, it's nothing because you're just gonna have a bunch of Mark IIs and shit running around. I guess the well,
I mean,
no,
I would see
it
the
would be
BD2.
550 would be the BB
Yeah, 550 is the beam bazooka.
or like the Shiki.
The Shiki, yeah, you'd either do the Shiki or the GPO2, and then maybe the
Or the Striker Custom.
Tetra still needs a buff. I'm just saying that.
Tetra does need a buff. I'm surprised the Tetra's not on.
And
To
then
be
right
honest,
now, the Striker Custom. But
Tetra needs some help.
Yeah, Tetra. I'm surprised the Tetra's not on here as well.
Like when we were, I think, yeah, when we were talking about stuff that we missed or that the list missed, that's one of the suits for sure.
That is definitely one of the suits, because if I see that as anything that's a general, I'm just like, ooh, I'm gonna half health you in one shot. Goodbye, Tetra.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Yeah, especially as the Zeong. It's just like, oh, he did. He did. So that's one that's missing for sure.
Well, Draven is when we were talking about cost. He's like, I mean, the biggest buff they could do for raids at low cost is to make the Komofa raid. That'd be amazing.
That'd actually be kind of cool.
That'd be a really good raid.
Yeah, I'd take a counter sniper raid, and that'd be pretty legit.
Get the Zuda run for its money. Cries in Zuda.
But do you think at the cost, the because like with them having similar suits and both ground and space, do you think it makes it more likely that we just see notable stat adjustments for a lot of the different suits?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was
Who
wondering.
has space specialization? So, you know, at that point, like, what else does it need going for it
Actually,
in
which
space?
ones do have space specialization in this list?
BD2, I believe G3 does. But don't
I
quote
would
me on that
assume
one
so
though.
because that's when it's introduced
It might not
within the
though.
space
It has high
campaign.
spec and back, but I don't know if it has specialization or not.
Hmm.
What
I
cost
don't
does a
think part of it
G3
is
start?
500.
Oh,
No, it's
Or is
450.
it 450? Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
I don't think I have a
Oh, it's just
G3,
3 levels. Yeah.
so I can't look that one up.
because I remember back in the old meta, like the G3, and that's the kind of the rough thing about some of these suits. Some of these suits actually were in the meta back in the day.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
so the narrative for a lot of these guys is that they've gotten beaten out of the meta both by their opposing suits and by suits in their cause or their
I can check this shop real
and
quick.
there's class
For the
just outdoing them.
well, I would, as far as like the meta goes, I would see a lot of Unit 5 and BD2 is kind of like a lot of people's go-tos
Hmm.
for 500 costs. So that's kind of why I'm like, the only
Yeah,
thing I can
this
think
is
is like the
also a lot of this is also just about availability. So I think that's why they're in there.
yeah.
Because the alternatives are still a little bit rare for people to have, unless they were just like wailing super hard or were there for all the banners.
I am kind of curious. Okay, G3 does not have space specialization. I wonder if they'll give it space specialization.
That'd be
It
interesting.
doesn't have one at all right now, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have anything.
That'd be an interesting consideration too, actually giving some of those suits specialization. G3 with space, it makes sense. Prototype, if it doesn't already have one, getting ground.
Should be ground, yeah.
Because the reduced thruster consumption rate is pretty relevant for those things, on top of just the additional effects.
Mhm.
So we want to go ahead and talk about the Thunderbolt now, or any other thoughts on the others? I mean, my only thing is I'm just trying to figure out what they have to go against in space at 500 cost right now that would warrant, a big change.
Mark II, Rick Diaz, Zeong.
Yeah, pretty much everything. The
Well, at
Stamen still
500
claps his
though,
cheeks.
I mean, yeah, I guess the Rick
The
Diaz is actually pretty
the
good. The
BB
Mark
still fucks
II,
it up.
well, I mean, I'm talking 500, just straight 500. So you got Mark II and Rick Diaz,
Mhm.
but I can't really think of anything else that's too crazy.
Gelgoogs are pretty mean just because they can bust their shields really fast. They have that machine gun to give them pressure in the meantime.
I mean, but that one kind of seems balanced though. Like that one's not that bad.
They also have the Gabaldi that's able to clap pretty hard in terms of melee
The
when it actually
Galbaldi's
closes
pretty
in.
nice now too. Yeah, that's
And
true.
not to mention the Uma Lightning, which also has that barrage at range and has space priority in terms of its compatibility.
Yeah, the Mark II is the second best raid in the game.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the other thing too. I'm kind of like thinking, I don't know. At 500 though, like the Unit 5 and the
And
BD2 don't seem that
even
bad.
when it was released, the Saikozaku was giving it a hard time.
Giving which a hard time?
The full armor.
Oh, well, yeah, the full armor. Sorry. I'm not. I was sorry. I was still kind of mentioning the what generals would give the other suits a hard time. Now the full armor, fair enough. Like the full armor right now, from what I heard, it was OP and then it got nerfed, and now it's kind of been meh. But because it was so
Mhm.
OP, they had to nerf it. Now they could probably put those nerfs back, and it would be fine. But again, I wasn't around when they did nerf it, so I don't know exactly what happened or the notes or anything.
They really need to at least up the field motor.
Yeah, they need to do a lot for that thing. So we need some turn speed. We need easier weapon swapping and firing rate.
Literally nothing on that suit should make it stop the fire.
I agree.
There's no reason for this thing as a raid when it actually has that much thrust to be standing still.
Like, it needs help.
Especially when they gave it such a. They also just need to give the travel time for the thrust a little more punch. It's so piddly how much it moves.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about the Thunderbolt last time. We talked about it pretty extensively at
Mhm.
how kind of
I think
bad
the
it
other
was.
thing too is the beam rifle on it, like for the main weapon,
Yeah,
it should be able to be shot individually as opposed to being like a 2-barrel kind of situation.
yeah, that's kind
Make it
of
more like the other full armor in that respect.
yeah,
Because
the
it has
whole
output. Like all of its weapons can do some decent damage on it. It just needs more mobility to work around with that instead of like having to just clench its teeth, hope nothing hits it when it's actually trying to hit with its bitch shit.
yeah, that's the weird part about it too. It's like, you should be able to. I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna give it a new skill or something.
Yeah. That's
Like,
that's the big thing for high cost in general is committing to things in certain situations is really dangerous. And that goes for melee too.
yeah. So I would like to see a new skill on it or something to kind of help it not get staggered to death and just destroyed.
Mhm.
And I'd like to see it be able to rotate through its weapons faster and use them with more quality of life. Like, honestly, I think that's the biggest deal. Like, the damage on the weapons are fine. It's just if you can just go boom, 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 and fire everything off really quick and, dart around and shoot and do crazy maneuvers and actually have a skill cap to the suit. Yes. But right now it just feels clunky to play all around.
Yeah. Like I'd love to see people who were using this suit back in the day try to use it the way it is now and do like their best highlight reels just to see what that looks
Mhm.
like.
I was gonna say, like Emblem, when did you start? When did you start Gustav? Like, was it already out when you started, or
It was a big deal when I was in there. It was like actually the banner suit at the time.
but you guys never got to play it or anything, or look at the patch notes?
I played it a little bit when it
Yeah.
first came out. It took me a while to get it, but I think the main problem that the suit sees is the way the shield system works in the game, um, which is
It's
kind of
just free
weird in a
stuns.
space environment. Well, not even that, like not the destruction stagger effect, but you know how your suit gets reduced mobility and stuff when it
Mhm.
has a shield. We have four of them, but you're in space where that shouldn't really matter. Um,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
I
they just need to
mean,
change the way
that
it works.
that goes back to the way you stop to shoot certain things too.
Yeah,
At least to
Yeah, because
me.
I'm not saying to
Like
stop
in
to shoot
space,
isn't
that
relevant.
shouldn't matter either. But yeah, I get what you're saying too.
I
But
mean,
I think it's just
honestly,
that by lack of maneuverability because of the shields. Because it gets really fast. Like every time one of those shields gets destroyed, it gets faster.
the
Um,
problem is it's normally dead by the time its shields are gone.
very
Yeah.
true.
That's my biggest problem. It's like you got all these shields, but I've got a Zeong, so
It's also
uh
rough because they only cover your sides, and a big reason that they're there is because so much of the shit on this, when you really take a good look at this suit, it's big, it's bulky, it's easy to hit.
it's a full armor.
So imagine if it didn't have any of that coverage. Well, even the full armor, like the backpack on the regular full armor, is nowhere near as big
Yeah,
as
that's
this
true.
thing, and it doesn't have the big fuel rods to hit the tips of either. It's a lot more compact than this is. So a lot of that's just coverage for the sake of you not being instantly stunned and being stunned eventually instead.
Yeah, I would take like a larger hitbox, but again, I just kind of want to know how far extended the nerfs were, or what nerfs were actually in this, because
Yes, it's been a long time since that happened
like
too.
Yeah, I'd have to do some digging.
because I'm really curious to know how OP it was, or if it was, and then was it just was there really
This
that
was
big
the
of a nerf?
original. This was the original cheese base monster.
Yeah, yeah, I still see people go cheese a base, and
But the
There's
big deal was that it almost was kind of like the Xeon back in the day. It just had all that extra maneuverability. It was able to keep people off it. And for once, those shields actually mattered during that time. But yeah, they had to do a serious overhaul of this thing to try to make it be able to keep up with some of the stuff that's out now.
I want to
Like
see
you
a
look
paragraph like
some of
this.
the gameplay out for the FB at its cost. You think about the Shiki being able to keep up with that maneuverability, even if it's not as crazy. This thing is nowhere close to either, though.
Yeah, like
And even maneuverability wise, like the Seikozaku is a lot more viable than this thing is in terms of that.
I think that also needs a buff, but that
It really does,
it's
because
too
I mean,
glass
and
cannon.
part of that is because it's literally just a high Mozaku that has a bunch of bullshit on it.
I mean, it's like
Like
if you took
the suit
a
itself is
Comfer
actually
and
like a lower cost suit that's been boosted up performance wise to act like a high cost, but everything else about it is still just a Zaku.
yeah, it's like a Zaku mixed with a Comfer that's thrown into space and has a giant hitbox.
And a big dumb bazooka.
Yeah, so like it's cool, and the damage I guess is fine, but I mean it needs like give it like another 3,000 health or something for real though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
Yeah,
needs
in terms
a
of
huge health boost.
survivability in this game, like it does need the help.
Like it may have a ton of weapons and it can stagger people and do some really cool combos, but the thing is, you know.
I bet you if they did that, comfort players would be like, "Where's our help buff? Fuck you!"
Oh my gosh, yeah, for real though,
It's like,
right?
dudes.
Doesn't the suit have double dodge roll and stuff like that as well though?
Yes, it does.
The Psycho?
Pretty sure.
I believe it has 2 dodge rolls.
I could go
I
look.
don't think it has
I'm checking
maneuver
right
arm or
now.
anything like that. But I don't know. I think it has pretty good defensive options to where I don't know. I personally think the Psychozaku is
Oh, it does
fine.
have level 2. Yeah, emergency evasion level 2. Not too bad. I don't know, man. Like with the parts that I have on it, I'm almost getting. I have a frame level 4 and then the new model frame,
Mhm.
and we're still not at 14,000.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
It may use more health then.
What does the
I guess.
Comfer have?
Well, we were talking. I was gonna say we were
I was
talking
gonna
about the
say it's the
comfort
same thing.
compare.
Yeah, same exact health
Hmm.
as the 450 Comfer.
Oof.
Yeah,
12,000 base health.
Yeah, that's a little rough. If it's even an undercost version that you have to compare it to.
The lowest other health suit that I have at that same cost is, well, the Thunderbolt. That has 11,000 base health. Oof.
Oh, but it has shields. Yeah, that doesn't matter. But
Yeah, man. No wonder I just one-shot that thing. I literally just shoot it, like, I hit it with the side, or the rear beam with the Xeon. Then I hit it with the head beam to stagger it if that didn't stagger it. Then I
yeah,
shoot it with the
like
side beams, and then
if the
I...
shields that had the aperture arms on them actually moved a little bit more to cover you at certain angles, it'd be kind of nice. But like,
Yeah.
it's only when you're backing up, and it's only by like a little bit. They don't move that much.
Well, and then like I just do the side beams, and then by the time I charge up the chest and the side beams have destroyed all your shields, you just got staggered. So then I'm like, you're dead because, well, now you're at like 2
Yeah.
health, and then I just swap to the handguns, but because you're staggered, I can just be like, pew, and there we go. There goes the Thunderbolt.
I still want it to have the ability to jettison the full armor stuff.
That would be kind of interesting. I just don't want it to be staggered by its shields blowing up. Give it a new skill to prevent shield explosion stagger or something.
Like I say, able to power through it, or like
Yeah,
maneuver. Could you imagine if that's what maneuver armor 3 was?
that would be crazy. And also looking at
Like
this thing's
anything
skills.
that would interrupt you, like, nah, not even.
Okay, you guys ready for this? I mean, this is the
Hmm.
level 1, so fair enough. But here's its skills: melee combo controller 1, maneuver armor,
Mhm.
high spec handbag, force injector, and dodge roll. All
And
level
that's
1.
it. Yikes.
And then again, its base health is 11,000.
So didn't it get? So it's at 500. Is it at 550 yet?
Yeah, it's at 550. Yeah,
Okay.
like it
Mm.
needs it even more
Could
there.
definitely use quick boost level 2 at least. Don't
You know
worry
what?
about it being in space.
You know what? Just throw leg shock absorber on there too. Why not?
Yeah, it's the skill every mobile suit needs.
Yeah, that helps everything. Oh my gosh, that is just kind of
Also,
like
make the
oof,
stun
dude.
threshold for the missile bar lower.
Yeah, for real. Like it's got a lot of missiles, and it has the crappy missile bay that the full armor does too. Uh, but still, you have some pretty cool weapons. Get a good 4 different things to fire, and then you got the beam saber that you could do stuff with. I like it.
See, I
Missile
hope they
Bay
do some
is
stuff
Missile
for that.
Bay.
It's true, or at least it should be.
No, BAE is Missile
Yeah, I
Bay.
know.
So, okay, good.
We're following. We got it.
The interesting thing is that in the show, it was like a full on like heavy arms kind of barrage. Like
Oh
stuff was
yeah,
coming out of the extra panels and stuff for the missiles too.
that's
Like they should have that be a little bit different from the regular full armor in
yes,
that respect.
please, for real though. Like I yeah. I want to see like again like if this is
They need
the
to just get more
customs, if
Thunderbolt,
this is the
more
Goof
love.
custom getting a ton of buffs, and this is how much of a paragraph they have for it. This
Mhm.
should be the full armor's paragraph of changes. All I'm saying. Like if it's not something like that, you haven't done enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think that's one thing, and I wonder how fast. Did they say? Is there like a due date for when this is going to come out?
That's what I saw.
no, there's no actual unless I'm missing something here. I was trying to read this too at the same time, but as far as the final thoughts and whatnot,
Hmm.
um, but they do say if this fix does not improve the situation, we are also considering adding corrections to the damage between mobile suit categories.
Yeah,
At those
that's the
costs.
other big thing.
I thought that was an interesting adjustment.
Only in specific cost zones. So yeah, I was like, wait, at those
Mhm.
costs, but yeah, only in specific cost zones. That'll be ooh,
Even more layers to the meta to remember. That's interesting
interesting.
that they're willing to go that far.
Yeah, like
And I
that.
think a big part of it is going forward, they are going to start adding more levels to some of these suits. And whatever raids come out in the future that are Zeta or whatever, they're really going to need to be viable when they're in banner so that people actually roll on them. If we're talking about this from a more like business oriented thing.
That's true.
So this has to set that precedence going forward. And the lengths they're willing to go to make these suits worth it for people to actually shell out that money. So picking on these OG suits is kind of goodwill. Going forward, though, this is probably going to be setting a precedence for the new shit too.
That damage for type advantage is interesting though. That's kind of crazy. Did not expect that one. I don't know. I kind of have a problem with it just thinking about that though, because at that point it would kind of sound like they're doing a oh, well, you're complaining about not having too many raids. Well, now there's no type at 200 cost. Yeah, pick your suit. Just do damage to everybody.
I mean, I'm sure there are people who would rather that be the case anyway.
Probably, but
It's not they're getting rid of the triangle. It's just removing some of the advantage.
Yeah,
I think
they're
what
saying they're not
he's
removing
saying
it,
is that
but
it's like he's afraid that it's going to be changed so much that the type circle is just moot at those cost ranges.
well, I mean,
Or it just becomes general advantage disadvantage towards
Everyone's a
support,
general.
raid advantage versus
Mhm.
raid advantage versus support, and raid is just kind of like general has no specialization.
Yeah, 2 general types and then 1 general type that supports can't hurt.
pretty much. But it's like, well, what I'm saying is it's like there, well, there's not enough raids. Well, now they're all raids. You get what I'm saying, right? If they blur that line, then they have a lot of suits that you can choose from that are viable. Because
And
right
so
now
they
the
ignore
problem
those
is,
suits anyway.
yeah. So it's like then they don't have to come out with new 200 cost, if that makes
Well, it would
sense.
They're
well, the
barely doing
thing
it as
for
it is
this is
anyway,
that they're
right?
doing it as, like, high cost anyway. That's why they're saying at specific cost.
Yeah. Well,
200 would be kinda
I mean, they're
weird for them to do
saying,
that at. I would assume they would do it more at, like, 500 to 550.
I mean, they could do that too. That would be really interesting. I mean, we were kind of already talking about that too. What is support going to look like in a year before?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that kind of is a thing. But so yeah, I guess that's pretty much. I mean, that's about all I got to say on that one. But
Yeah, the bigger thing is that, like, we don't even have, like we were saying before, like, a deadline for when any of this is gonna be implemented. If it's just gonna be small implementations going forward or, like, a giant all-in-one kinda, like, comprehensive overhaul either.
yeah, I feel like there's going to be some simple stuff, some not so simple stuff, and then like Thunderbolt's going to have a giant paragraph. And if it doesn't have a giant like page and a half of stuff, I'm like I said,
Then you have failed.
and that's not even my bias for it being a full armor, and B, it also being Thunderbolt from one of my top 2 favorites right now. Uh, like just as a suit playing against it as a Xeon, for instance, at 550, it's just like, why are you here? Why did you pick that suit? Kind of thought, right? It's like,
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna bully you into oblivion, and
Like, if you're gonna make it punch up that high in terms of cost,
yeah,
then you gotta make it be something for them to worry about, especially since this thing in particular has a lot of ballistic weapons that
yeah,
should negate a lot of that beam resistance
that would be
despite the
awesome.
type advantage.
Oh yeah. Like I want to see this thing shooting missiles and just like, oh gosh, it's terrifying. It should be a whole lot more maneuverable and doing some cool high skill cap
Yeah.
things, I
Like, you
think.
should clench your butt when you see a fucking Thunderbolt come at you.
Oh yeah, for real. And right now it's just like he did.
Target practice. What's
Yeah,
up, bitch?
for
Let's
real.
go.
Let's see. I can combo you. Okay, you've done your dodge roll, so boom, shield broke. Okay, so you're staggered, so I stagger you again. So then boom, those shields are gone. And big hit. Now you're on 2 health. Boom,
They
beams.
should give this thing, if they don't give it like 2 rolls overboost in this suit would be kind of interesting.
Ooh, there's an idea. Like that's what I'm saying. Like they need to just like the list
There's
needs to be
just
like
so
this
much
big.
shit on this.
Yeah, like you could.
Like, if the list of weapons is enough for a paragraph, not to mention it's just like a super kitted out thing in space.
Yeah,
Like, it's just about as overblown as like a statement or anything, if not more so, just because they're having to work with like an older Gundam on top of that.
yeah. So I want to see some. I want to see some big changes. But um, so yeah. So that's the biggest thing right there, I guess. There was something else that kind of popped into my head that I wanted to talk about, and it managed to escape me
Uh-oh.
since. But anything else we want to talk about? It had something to do with like generals and supports, kind of based on the same kind of deal. I know I mentioned like I wonder if they're gonna do the same sort of pass, but Psycho was being one of those.
Yeah, Psycho would be nice.
But I can't
I feel
remember
like
exactly
going
the
forward, they're gonna have to
specific.
do that. And it makes me wonder if they're gonna really keep the range of costs, or if at some point they're gonna do either a level or a cost crunch
That'd be kind of
as
interesting.
well. I mean, I guess it all depends on how that plays out. Not to mention, like, how high level are the parts and weapons going to start going for some of these things. The relevancy that they have to certain ranges of suits and how much even lower end suits are going to creep up so that people have decent rosters at the higher costs as we go forward. There's a lot. There's a lot to go yet.
Oh yeah.
The
For real
fact
though.
that we're talking about all this and we haven't even gotten to 600 cost yet is pretty insane within itself. And we're slowly starting to creep up on this being officially the second year down
Yeah.
as you get closer into summer.
I'm curious. The anniversary. I'm calling it already. I'd say. So when is that? When is that again? Emblem
Um,
somewhere in April.
September,
No, no, no,
That was
no, no,
August.
no, no. No, I'm talking. Sorry, my bad.
August, September,
The thing in April. Golden Week or
Golden
whatever.
Week.
Yeah,
Golden Week.
that in April. So we see the first transformable in April is my guess, and then we see Zeta on anniversary. Isn't that July? That was July.
Oh shit, it might be July. I
Uh,
have to look
Golden
at
Week's
deals.
in May.
Oh, Golden Week's in May. Then
Yeah, May 2nd to May 6th.
do we know anniversary? I could probably just.
I believe it was August of September because I mean it was just the anniversary came out. Yeah, I want to say it was August, because uh, October was or Halloween was the big first Western event.
Yeah, for the release.
Yeah,
So I wonder if they'll have
I
a
wanna say it
separate
was
thing for
September.
that. That'd be kind of
Oh,
neat.
yeah, first anniversary commemorative on the 1st.
August
Oh,
or
this was
September.
second step. This was their second step. Was on the 1st of August.
Okay.
Okay.
So it might have been July for the first step.
Go back to July. The first base battle operation base camp commemorative token present was on the 29th.
Okay, so it was late July.
So yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So late July. Oh, here we go. No, the first anniversary Thanksgiving Day was on the 25th. Was the actual patch that went through.
Also July, or was it August?
That was July 25th.
Okay.
Yeah. So just at the end of July is when this thing released. And then it ran from the 25th to the 29th. So yeah, I'm calling it then. That's when we get the actual Zeta Gundam that drops.
That'd be pretty big.
Yeah. So hopefully, like I said, first transformable Golden Week. That's what I'm calling. But but yeah. Yeah, as far as balance goes, since we've kind of been talking about balance, what else do you think needs to be changed anywhere on anything? Or
Ideally, they just do comb overs of both support and generals at some point. Like I was saying before, they just do like unit changes as opposed to universal buffs. But the bigger thing about that is just how many suits that covers and how much that would change the meta across the board. As opposed to like trying to make those two viable, because those two types are already to a certain extent. There's a lot of examples that just cover a lot of those kind of bases.
I mean, other than just specific suits, I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. Like, again, I've just always said, like, I'm glad that they change maps and stuff up. So I know and I mean, going from one rank to another rank to, and clan matches weren't working and people were getting upset about it. So they're just like, okay, we're just gonna cut it off and we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was wanting to talk about.
Yeah,
There it is.
that is a
Clan match. Okay, there we go. Now I can actually put proper text up here.
Hey.
So
For everyone who keeps asking, it is not happening until April. All the other scheduled stuff's been canceled.
yep. So it's time off till April, and I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think they're gonna give us the in some way the assault GM?
Nah. They should, but they probably won't. They'll be
No,
like, it's in the gotcha now. Like, I think they'll
Yeah.
introduce the new suit for the rotation because they should have done it
Yeah.
several weeks ago.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
I'm
say.
surprised we went past 10.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, it was planned for what, 12 weeks, or 11 was on the list.
Was it planned for 12?
I think we had either week 11 or
Oh,
week 12.
I see what you're saying.
Oh yeah, you were
Yeah,
saying.
let
Sorry, you
me.
were saying. Yeah, so they were planning it for 2 months. Every 2 months we'd have a new
yeah,
suit, and then it would go into the lottery once it was done. So that's what the original plan was.
Yeah, because that up to around 12 planned out, but I'd be okay with them moving on to the next suit. Like, it sucks for anybody that was looking forward to 11 and 12 to get it, but with the delay, I hope they don't sit on it too much longer.
Yeah, like want them to keep moving on with it. It was really
the
awkward.
interesting thing is that like our roster of suits that can be put in there is starting to shrink now because some of the actual banner suits that we've been getting are things that we thought were going to be part of that list.
Yep. But I mean, if it's gonna be every 2 months, they don't really have to have a huge list for that to, kind of get extended, and then
Mhm.
then they could pick some random stuff every now and then. So
I think the bigger thing for that is just that like the longer it takes, the less we're gonna see the chance of like shadow suits coming back because they're
yeah,
gonna have to be reserved for clan matches because they're just gonna run out of stuff that they can put in its place.
that is true.
And then eventually they're gonna have nothing from GBO and they're gonna have to start putting new shit in there.
Honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to that.
So that'll be interesting to see what they deem worthy of being put in there when it comes to the newer stuff.
But so with the clan matches and stuff, though, like I know it got really bad, but like some of the bugs, whew, I mean, it's good that they actually took the time to do that, and
Mhm.
um,
They didn't just keep pushing on with the events.
yeah, for real though, because it was starting to get kind of frustrating. Like it would work in the last like 20 minutes or something, or
You just
40
couldn't do it.
minutes. It just would, yeah, for a 2 hour thing. Yeah, that was getting pretty bad.
That's another thing too. I wonder if they're gonna change how any of that works in terms of the time window or
Maybe they're gonna
anything
go
else.
back to their original plan, because remember their original plan was they were gonna have one in the morning, one in the afternoon,
Mhm.
like just in the same day. So I mean, I would have been fine with that, right?
Yeah.
It was like every Saturday or whatever, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and as
It would
long as
also
you,
just be like a bigger chance to see these suits. Like I still haven't seen a land combat type out there, like at all.
well, and then a couple of them too, just getting through the matches and just playing 3, you could have got the suit, like,
Mhm.
or winning 3, I should say. Just 3 wins, and you would have been up there on the list. And it was just like, oof, because couldn't get the games in, or in just that 2 hour time, pretty much had time to just play 3. So if you didn't win 3 in a row, then that was kind of it.
Yeah.
But I know Emblem, you've been posting stuff about doing like practices and stuff. So like,
Whenever people actually get in, yeah.
yeah. So like, are you still trying to do some practices and keep that
Yeah,
going?
just because the matches are over, we still try to get everybody together who wants to participate in them in there. So I think if anything, this downtime is the best time to actually do practice for stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Like, because I mean, some of those groups that, yeah, some of them it's just, whew, they've got their plays ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like
These are all the guys that, like, if they ever actually made a competitive scene, they would come out of their holes, their custom lobby holes, and actually like fight and just clap people.
pretty much. So, like, I've seen a couple like do some weird stuff on the desert, tropical desert one. That's the one that we got to play the most on. There was one team, they just didn't go for the hill at all. They went from the side, and then they just all rolled up and just murder balled us, like in a very like tactical pattern. I was just like, what in the world, dude? It
Well,
was
the other
crazy.
thing too now is that, like, you know, we've had clan matches brought to our attention, but ranked matches have been gone for a good while now too, and both of those are to be determined in terms of the advanced info.
Yeah, that's what do we think? When was the last ranked again? Okay,
Shit.
sorry. Bad question. When was the last rank pretty much on the same ranked a year prior? And do we think we're going to get another rank this year at the same time that we had last year's ranked around this upcoming time?
Well, I don't think there was that much of a. I don't think there was a year gap between first ranked and second rank.
Okay. Because I thought they
Um,
kind of both were around September or whatever.
It was at least half a year. Like, it was
yeah,
a
like
pretty good,
6
like,
months.
Oh, no,
month
no,
span.
sorry. What I'm saying is like the first ever ranked, because we've had 3 now total, right? The first ever ranked and the
Yeah.
third ranked, were they a year apart?
I'm not sure. I feel
Pretty
like
fucking close, if not.
Okay, yeah,
yeah, I
that's
feel
I
like
think when we
first rank
talked about it, it was
happened.
close.
Well, I feel like second and third rank were pretty close together,
Yeah,
though.
they were.
Was the
Because
second
Um,
after July
they
or?
thought that they were catching their stride a little bit, and then it just
mhm.
stopped again.
Oh yeah, that's right. The second was after the anniversary event. So it was like, yeah, because we just said, oh, okay, never mind. I'm being dumb. So the second one was about a year later, maybe ish. The other one was like around. Okay, never mind. I'm being dumb. I was thinking something else. I was on a different timeline in my head, but
Mm.
we're good now. So yeah, I wonder if they're gonna actually get back to that, and have they just? I wonder if they just still got a lot of salt from the 3-day thing. I know there was a lot of people upset with the 3-game thing.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
I don't know. I preferred it a little bit. I don't know if they wanted to
It's
do like
definitely
5
a
or
healthier
6.
approach
Yeah,
instead of having you just like grind it out from period to period.
but I wouldn't mind if they upped the amount of games maybe a
Mhm.
little bit. But yeah, I think that's kind of the
I think they tried to just match it with the dailies too, so that way you're not like just not gaining anything while you're doing it.
that's true. I guess. Normally you still need your recon boxes.
Mm.
Just saying.
I mean, some people do, and the fact that the drop rate for those is pretty trash. I don't think a lot of people bother.
I mean, sometimes. Well, I mean, then when new players kind of get in, they're like, "Okay, it's coming. I'm waiting. It'll be here. I believe." And then they've spent 10 hours playing
And they don't get
and
it,
not a
and so it's
single
like, "Yeah,
box.
fuck this game."
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and also too, it's
They
like,
could do it upping
here's
the
your
rates of those,
1,000 DP.
especially when you're in the beginning of a month and you're literally only getting 2. And, like, both of those can just be straight cheeks, like, just a couple DP or whatever.
Yep. So that is a problem. But yeah, I'm kind of interested what they're gonna do. Do you think? I mean, I honestly though, back to the clan thing. Do you think they're gonna change the format of the time? Kind of go more toward their original plan? Because I feel like what they did was they were like, we tried to do this and it messed up. So, because that was going to be the beta test, right, or whatever they were calling that first weekend. And
Oh, for the new system? Yeah.
yeah,
No, that was for clan.
but no, that's what I'm saying for the clan. Yeah, that's so the clan stuff. They were like, yeah, it's going to be 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then ours in the afternoon just never happened. And it was like,
Yeah,
and they
and
and
just
then they just didn't even say anything, and they were like, yeah, the next one's coming up is going to be so and so morning at 4 a.m.
yeah, hopefully they bring that back. Then again, the fact that they just kinda went on without it without saying anything, it doesn't set a good precedence for them either.
Yeah, that was the weird
Yeah,
part.
I don't think it's likely, especially with one match having as much issue. Like the idea of them doing
Having
things
2
and then
different
switching to two.
times of a
I
day
don't.
where, like, the entire game is fucked.
I mean, if they
Yeah,
were,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
if they fix it, I would see it be easing.
Yeah, like, they have
Whatever
to
word
actually
I just
bolster
tried to say, that it would be easy for them to implement. I was trying to say easy and implement at the same time.
It would implement later if that was the case. Like they would definitely just keep it the way they've had it before, of just
to
one.
confirm that it's actually gonna help.
Yeah, and then if it is like stable, they could try a second time, but I don't think they're gonna come out with two.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not at initially, but I would like to see it like soon
Oh,
after
for
they
sure.
fix it. Like
Having
I'm
to wake up in the morning would be great.
yeah, like I mean, I've been going to the gym in the mornings like that now, so that's not the worst thing, I guess. But
It's
and
still
now it's an
shitty for
hour
everybody
later.
else.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, like I've kind of adjusted. It's taken some time.
So now it's 8 o'clock for me instead of 7.
Yeah, so I can deal with that a little bit more. But
It's not just about us, though.
oh yeah, but I'm just saying it's just kind of one of those things. It's it's taken an adjustment, so it's kind of like to make it for those clan matches. If it takes an adjustment in your schedule,
Yeah, I shouldn't
then
have to adjust myself
that's
for
yeah
things like that in a fucking video game.
yeah that's my
Like,
point.
fuck off.
I mean,
That's
I've
gross.
adjusted to it, cool, I guess, but I mean, my point is the fact that it's happened is a problem. That's what I'm getting at.
Mhm.
But and that's another thing too. If you're going on like low sleep, uh, and you wake up in the morning to just play, you're definitely at tip top shape, right?
Clearly
You're
top
gonna
tier.
new
Best
type
condition.
material. I can.
Well, maybe because you'll be having hallucinations, so
Well played. But what do you think they could change other than upping the I guess back to the rank thing, unless you guys got any more ideas on the clan ranked. Um what do you think they could change on the normal ranked coming up to make it better? Other than just the upping the amount of games to like 6 or something.
the rest of it seemed okay. To me, it's just weird that it fell off the way it did. It's just the fact that we haven't really had any coverage as to why. And I think part of it would probably be because of their fixation on making clan workout, but they could have still been doing rated or ranked in the interim. Because
Yeah.
in terms of performance, it wasn't hitting the servers that bad.
That was the weird I still
Because it
don't
still had a bigger span of time that people could do it. So you weren't having people crunch in for like 2 hours and fucking everything up.
Yeah, that's true. But do you guys think it really was just so many people just showing up at one time frame?
Yeah.
It don't
Like,
feel
it's
like
just
it.
that they have shitty servers.
Fair
They've
enough.
done it consistently for like several. It's the reason that they brought that up in the announcement. It's not anything about it. Might be a little bit about the net code, but that's still also because they're doing peer to peer because they can't handle doing dedicated on their end.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm just like my point is I'm just kind of impressed that that is the thing. I'm kind of, that kind of makes me a little
It
excited.
makes me want to laugh, but it just also annoys me.
Oh well, well I'm kind of like that's kind of cool that there's like enough people coming together to crash the game as
Mhm.
far as just having that kind of player base. That's pretty nice. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. But
For me, it seems like it's just too low capacity for them to be having that many problems.
fair
But
enough. Yeah, that's probably definitely a true statement. But
this is also a baby ass free to play game that's being run by like a relatively small studio, even though they have like a bigger publisher backing them.
yeah,
So I just it comes back to the idea that I don't think they were ready for an release.
Pretty much. Like they definitely have a small team. Yeah, they definitely weren't ready for what happened. But kind of glad it's going this way. Actually, here's another random side note. And then I guess we could talk about what we think the new suit is, if you guys want to do that. Unless you guys have any other topics, and then we can start wrapping up. But like, oh no, that's bad. I just completely forgot what I was thinking. Ah, no.
Jesus.
Why? Hang on. It's coming back. Oh yeah,
Wubba dubba
single
lubba
player.
lubba.
Yeah, what now
The new
you
mode?
said it wrong.
I
Well,
know.
the new mode, but it kind of makes me think of something with the new mode, right? So,
Mhm.
what if they made a game in this that was single player, like in the engine? They made a new game in the engine that was single player. Like,
Mhm.
what I really think that they've done so far is they've hit the jackpot with what could be one of the best single player Gundam games that could be made, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a solid engine.
yeah, it's a solid engine. It's cool shooting mechanics. Works really smooth when you have a 1v1 or just playing in the practice.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Looks relatively good for an FTP.
yeah. So I think they've got a lot of potential for a really good single player. And I would like to see one. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like, would you guys like to see a full on? Would you guys buy a full single player game in this engine? Like pretty much the same thing, just they had
Well, not that I got it for free, no.
story. Well, I mean, like, just like if they made a new game and they called it whatever, but it was made essentially with this engine, the game's mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like
Whole
if
story
Mobile
mode.
Suit Gundam Operation Odessa, just as a example, came
Yeah.
out. That was more like a single player game. Yeah, I probably would.
Or like you had just suddenly, I don't know, encounters in space or something using the mechanics of this game or whatever. I don't know. So something over there. But like still
Yeah.
had the same kind of story stuff going on.
Well,
Or
the bigger thing that I've seen in social media for this game is that people just wanted that. When they
period.
look at this game, they just would have rather this had not been multiplayer at all and just been like single player or co-op. I think people are underestimating how burnt out people are of multiplayer in general. And a bunch of these shut-in ass nerds that really don't want to deal with people at all and would rather just have single player campaigns, but in this engine.
I don't know
Or just
though.
anything, especially when you talk about like the only other option you have is another multiplayer game in Versus.
it was Operation Troy
And
was
like a
just
bunch of people don't like SD stuff, so like G Generations isn't even on the radar.
yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah, people like RPGs. I don't know though. I feel like in most cases, having some kind of multiplayer aspect is kind of what gives games longevity.
It's definitely something that's never gonna go, and
Well, yeah.
that's the ultimate thing. Like I really doubt that they would even bother with that. They would probably just stick to the new mode and never make an actual like full on single player game with this engine, especially if it's relegated just to that team.
I mean, yeah, if the new mode ends up being like some kind of single player stuff or some kind of PvE content, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But because again, specifically it hasn't been seen before. And here's something Gossip was saying, Operation Troy 2. Was Operation Troy actually single player and that was it?
I think it had single player and online, right?
Okay, so it was both
I
kind of
think.
thing.
I think.
Yeah, it set
I've
the
never actually-
precedence
But it
for
did have a
oh,
story? Like, did it have an actual story mode? Is kind of my question. I don't know if anybody knows.
I'd have to look.
But like that's kind of my that'd be interesting if we actually see some full single player stuff then, or like PvE content at the very least. But I'd like to see that, and then again, like for real though, if they came out with a single player game and it was a cool, like it could be a story that's already been done, a new story, something, whatever, then, and it's just a full, actual, 10-hour single player or something kind of thing going on.
Take the same intensity from those intro cutscenes for all the different IPs in Versus and just make entire stories out.
I mean, for
Yeah,
real though,
according to Wiki
just pick
or
something.
Wikipedia, Operation Troy had single player and online multiplayer.
I'm just curious how in depth the single player went.
Or
But
was it literally just like a training mode?
yeah, that's. I mean, because technically they say Chrome Hounds had a single player, but the single player was essentially training for the online play, where you got your basic parts to go put on your first mech to build, depending on what kind of role you thought you wanted to play. And each little story, depending on what type of role you thought you wanted to play, had parts that you would get, have missions that would say, like, you're a heavy gunner, you shell things from afar. Fire in this general direction till you kill the enemy, which most people doing that would just walk up the hill and fire straight at it instead of trying to fire over the hill and maybe hitting it. But yeah, like they tried. But technically it said it was single player, which even after the servers closed, GameStop was still trying to sell that game for like $5 or something.
Goofy.
Yeah, I was like, really guys? It's not a game anymore. Like 3 hours is not no.
And that's one of the more dangerous things about MP only games anyway, is that
Yeah.
you had those shelf lives where it's just like the player base isn't there, you can't really monetize it as much as you could before. If you try to, anyone that's on there still is gonna fall off.
Um yeah, Casa said it was kind of like a mini mission thing where you had someone as a handler that would give you missions and then brief you on it, and then you would go do the mission in that kind of thing. Which I mean, that's fine. That's still a single player kind of scenario based thing. Like I was even saying, like even if it was like a versus thing where you got dropped down in essentially an arena and there was some kind of
Yeah,
story that went with it.
it's just like an instance or whatever.
But I'll go ahead and bring that up that you linked Emblem.
Well, the only problem is I think this is multiplayer.
Oh, the multiplayer. Okay, well. Come on. Okay, yeah, that might be multiplayer. I wanted, like, when I heard about Troy, like, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, we're finally getting something pretty awesome for the Xbox was the big thing, right? I was like,
Yeah,
Xbox
that's the big
360,
deal.
hell yeah. And then, Riyadh? But,
Yeah, like Xbox 360 ultimately still won out in that generation in a lot of respects in terms of its game spread, but like if you're a weeb, you were suffering on that console.
yeah, just a wee bit. Hmm. So, I mean, they still had, they still had kind of a mission thing. They apparently touched on the 1 year war at the beginning. Yeah, so kind of cool. Um, but
Here we go.
you find one more appropriate?
Yeah, this one's mission 3.
Okay. Then I'll put that up. Then we can kind of talk about the new suit. Um,
Operation Troy seems to dabble hardcore in first person though.
yeah, it did the first person thing, which is kind of interesting.
I'm sure there'd be people that'd be interested in that.
But okay, so what do you guys think the new suit's going to be next week? Actually, let's do this: one raid, one general, one support. What do you guys want to see?
I don't know anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll go first on this one then. Gun Tank 2
Mm.
Raid, okay.
for
That'd be amazing if it was actually a raid.
I would quit.
You
I
were
would
just
be
really done.
I would
That's
yeet
it.
out. That's it.
You're taking us away from me, game. Fuck you. Oh shit.
Oh, okay. Well, Casa was on the wrong game. Target in sight / Gundam Crossfire. Whoops. But either way, they made a single player, like, yeah, something kind of like this. Obviously, in the engine.
What if the
doing the
new
same.
mode was just like them trying to cop the engine from Crossfire? Like, oh, parts and shit fall off.
That'd be kind of interesting.
That'd be like their version of like simulation battles or something.
But yeah, I'd like to
War
see
Thunder.
something single player though. But anyway, so Gun Tank 2 support, not raid. Ugh,
Yes, raid.
Okay.
That's gonna be my raid now.
Raid. What?
We're running out of things that aren't Zeta.
No, I got. Hang on, I'm going to what I posted on Reddit for my previous choices this past week because I'm like I had to look up stuff to choose.
Dommel?
That wouldn't be a bad one. I was kind of thinking more Zeta stuff though for raid.
You gotta wait though. Ain't a golden week yet.
Let's.
Like we're starting to get to the point with Zeta where it's like a lot of the suits that would be introduced are like villain of the month. They're like weak for like some of the smaller arcs, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
supposed to be like a big deal.
I'm gonna go with.
So
I'm gonna go what I want to see for raid, and it's gonna go straight with the Methus.
Methus as a raid.
Yeah.
That was actually gonna be my pick as
And
raid as well.
and I was trying to think of stuff because the Methus could show up as something that doesn't necessarily transform, which is gonna be awkward. But
That'd be kind of stupid.
Yeah, I hope the transformation mechanic would be introduced by the time the
Yeah.
Methus comes out.
that's kind of what I'm hoping. But I'm trying to think of Zeta stuff that could be raids that might not be using the transforming yet. So, and then I guess maybe the Barzam might be too
As a
early
general?
for that. As a general, yeah, might be too early for that, but I go for it.
What do we have from the GBO list that's left?
Quite a bit actually.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this.
What's his name? Gato's Gelgoog.
It just has like a shit ton of weapons on it.
Yeah, some other random Xeon suit that was in the 1-year war.
Didn't Shin Matsunaga also have a Gilgug?
I don't know if it was in the last game or not. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he did, but I don't know if it was a GBO1 suit.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think the Methus as a raid would be nice. Magnum is matching me of my raid choice. As far as like generals, I'll go with the Damo. I think the Damo will be a looks like it'd be a general. Just from what I've seen of it.
That'd be interesting.
And support.
Don't have the Aqua GM yet. Support starts to get a little tough though, because like we were talking earlier when it came to the Zeta stuff, eventually a lot of those suits become so diverse in what they can do that it's kind of hard to just pigeonhole one.
Right.
Like originally we were talking about the Methus actually being a support.
I think it'd be fun as a support or a raid, but I'm just leaning more towards raid because that'd be cool. Because I like the Metis, I'd like to be able to play it.
And I just look
I'll
at it from
say-
afar. It's just like, oh
yeah, and just murder it. I'll say for support, I guess we'll say full armor slave wraith, maybe
Ew.
Dullahan. I don't know.
I want to
Dullahan
see
would
the
be
full armor slave wraith though. Yeah, that's
Dullahan seems like they'd either do general or raid for it, but that'd be
Probably.
interesting to see how they would
I'd
manage
say-
that.
I'd
Give
say
it like
support for it
high,
because it won't have exam or Hades rather.
yeah. Give it like
Yeah.
high melee priority on top of that. Be the first support suit to have it.
pretty cool. I'd take it. But
Trying to see what else they got in here.
I'm moving a couple of things around.
So I was mentioning the Aqua GM, but I wouldn't mind the Aqua Cannon or the GM Cannon being a thing.
That'd be kind of cool.
I'm still just calling more Thunderbolt stuff at this point, like the other Act guy
The
or
other
like
guy, please just give me the Akai. Please give me the Thunderbolt Akai.
the Doll Mel we were talking about. That's from that, right? Or like
No,
No, that's
I
from
think
the,
it's from.
what's the other one? The one that was the mock-up that they were using. It was like has both Zaku and GM parts.
Got me on that one. Not ringing any bells.
I need to look it up. But yeah, also I don't know what I would see as a general that they wouldn't just pull from like Zeta at this point. There's probably some stuff that the Hazel is still something that people were talking about in that Reddit post. Whether it be the custom or like the standard or the reserve type. The interesting thing is if they go with the reserve type, they can also do the Hazel too. And you can have either that be like a general or a raid, depending on the type. The Zanny, it's like the Zanny. It's like Thunderbolt's version of the Zanny, pretty much.
You're just looking at mobile suits now.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm
Yeah.
like,
We need to focus. Are we gonna
Okay.
do the outro? Or?
yeah. So I guess we've kind of picked stuff. But yeah, that's I think that's some pretty solid picks. So what was the final thing? I said Gun Tank 2,
Methus.
Methus, and the Barzam. I'm trying to think of stuff that wouldn't necessarily transform, or they could just throw in. I kind of want to see the Methus transform though. Just saying. So kind of there with that. But you guys said a couple of options though that I was like, yeah, those could be probably stuff before the Methus, because again, I think the Methus is going to come after Golden Wing probably. So
Yeah, Berserk. The Zanny is in there. They do have the doll. They have two
Ooh.
different versions. So the Zanny is in there to a certain degree. But there's also the doll, which is a different variant that they had that was unique to that.
There you go. But yeah, if we want to, we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, let's put a bow on it.
Okie dokie. So what are you guys gonna be doing in the future?
Emblem?
Living on Earth, I think.
That Earth.
Maybe a space colony. EARF.
Earthbound.
Matt, what do you see yourself doing in 10 years?
Stuff and things.
That's not a good answer to that question in a setting, by the way. I hope to be finishing college and advancing towards my chosen degree, which in
I-
this case is international business.
I've already finished college. Too late for that.
I should probably do more college.
But yeah. So, Emblem, what do you got going on, man?
I'll probably just be zonking out of my bed after this, honestly.
I mean, where can people find you?
I think we mean
Shout
in
out to-
terms of the channel.
Okay.
Mr. Sandbag over here.
I can tell he's gonna be zonking out in a second.
Sorry, I may have dismissed it. I wasn't clear. You can find me in my bed behind me after the podcast. But website.com/GamingEmblem, particularly Twitch, sometimes occasionally YouTube. We play video games on the internet, like Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation, random various RPGs, Path of Exile with Magnum, and other things that alike. But we have fun, play games, sometimes get salty. We never get salty. What am I saying? Never salty.
No.
You get
Never
that
ever.
hardcore salt
ever.
tomorrow.
Never have I ever been salty.
All the hardcore salt. I just can't wait till we walk into like the first map and just a wave of monsters just, and we're just done. Game over at that point. Restart.
I think I'm over at PoE, but it's not, like those monsters aren't people. Don't have people controlling them on the other end, which is like, fine.
Wait. Now hold on there. Seeing the interviews, they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait to see who dies to the stuff I've created." Technically,
yeah, but those people just made them. It's not like it's like I'm in a PvP scenario, right?
I mean, technically, they're wanting to see some awesome deaths. People,
They're
dying horribly.
watching you. Like they come into your stream, and are just like, "Get wrecked, you fuck!" I made that shit.
I mean, apparently they joked about it, like at some of the interviews and stuff. They joked about they'll hop into people's streams just to be like anybody who's like specifically that has hardcore as their tag. They'll hop in and just look. Just be
I don't doubt that they do that.
He
It's
died.
like it's free player testing at that point.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
I mean, whenever somebody dies in hardcore on PoE, like chat rails them, man.
Yeah,
like, back
like,
to the beach,
beach.
Yeah, like
especially if
"Oh,
you're
you
like in the
suck."
top. Yeah, if
Mhm.
one of the top
if
people die,
they're
rooting for you to die at that.
F's in the
Oh,
chat.
for sure.
F's in the chat and praise the toucan.
point.
Don't put the toucan in chat anymore. By the way, Emblem, put the toucan in chat. You'll get a chat ban.
Oh shit!
No, I never did it. I never did it before, but I heard that toucan.
But yeah. So is that about it?
On me,
Yeah.
I end? Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay, cool. Gustav, what you got going on?
Well, like I was saying earlier, we finished Yakuza 0. We're moving on to Kingdom Hearts 3 for our secondary game. Still doing a lot of Gundam Battle Operation 2. In the meantime, GS3 is still recruiting for when April comes around. Hopefully we start getting some more details on that as we get closer. So capital GS and 3 for that. Gustav _X_III is where you can find me on most things, including Twitter, Facebook, Twitch primarily, and also we have a Discord. Isn't that lovely? But besides that, we'll be sticking to those. I have a distinct feeling that Kingdom Hearts 3 isn't going to last as long as I thought it would. So now we're kind of at a crossroads of, do we do like another smaller game, or do we actually move on to Yakuza Kiwami, because we do have the next installment ready, just in case. So I'll be debating on that going forward. Another quick thing for me is that I did get my sleep study results back. They did confirm that I had apnea, though I had to admit that I didn't get to sleep at that actual place. So some of those results are a little dubious. But the interesting thing is that they didn't suggest like a CPAP machine to like give me air like overnight. They were actually suggesting that I have large tonsils and that getting a tonsillectomy might actually help better before suggesting anything like that. So depending on if I go through with that, I'm going to be going for a consultation in the next couple weeks. And if I do go through with that, then that means either I'm just going to be down for like a couple weeks or I'm just going to be streaming without my mic for a good while because my throat's going to be shot if that's actually the case, depending on how the actual procedure goes. So I'll let you guys know as things progress with that. And that would be it for me, unless I catch the coronavirus, in which case I'll probably just be stuck in my house even before the surgery. So I'll have to see how that turns out. There's a lot of health-related things up in the air right now, especially with that infectee in our county.
Yeah, that's kind of rough. But yeah, by the way, the other thing too, you could just have your camera up just to let people know you're there, and then just give a thumbs up every now and then.
Just stay muted. Like, hello.
Oh, there you go.
Just like that. Just like every now and then.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
the top of your head just shows, and then every now and then you just thumbs up. Oh man, good. But anyway, as always, everybody's stuff will be down in the description below. But anyway, I'm Magnum. I stream on Twitch. I've got Twitter, Discord, the YouTubes, stuff like that, all that good stuff, things. Play a lot of games. Play just a little bit of everything, really. Gonna be doing GBO2 dailies as much as I can. Might not be streaming them here within the next few days and early next week because of Path of Exile new league releasing. That's a big deal. Gonna try to hit the new Monster Hunter World content that just hit today. I think the new raid's out. Could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure on the 12th the new raid was supposed to hit, and quite a bit of other content. So pretty big patch today. So I'll be checking out Monster Hunter. Who knows if I can? I'll probably log on and check and see if there's enough time and do that tomorrow morning if I can. If not, I'll just be doing GBO2 dailies maybe tomorrow morning. If not, maybe tonight. Probably tomorrow morning. But other than that, like I said, Path of Exile. Final Fantasy VII coming up in April.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, a
gonna be
lot
big.
of our categories are going to be shifting very quickly once we
Yeah,
get into April because
pretty
there's
much.
so much other shit coming out too.
Mm-hmm.
And then also going to be doing a tabletop RPG using this system from the Robotech Macro Saga from Strange Machine Games. And yeah, going to be doing that system and only doing it in the Gundam universe. So just pretty much adapted it to it. Just made essentially took their spreadsheet essentially for how their mech stuff is and just made it into like the Goof, the Gogu, stuff like that. So pretty cool. Can't wait for that. Still got to finish figuring out everything, characters, and the rest of the story and whatnot. But we've kind of got most of it ready at this point. I just need to send out a couple of messages and stuff, and then so right now soon trademark. But probably going to get started early next April. Or next month. Yes, in April. There we go. Words are hard. But yeah, I think that's about it. Other than that, lots of games. Got Fury. I can finally play that at some point. But we'll be back at Wilson in probably about 2 months, I guess. That's probably when I'll be done with most everything else. And we'll see how that's improved. But anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that. Leave us a comment down below of what you'd like to hear us talk about and what you thought about some of the things we've talked about. But anyway, guys, that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace.
Later.